details approved. Johnson wanted it done in 3 days to meet the October 31st deadline for Brexit the government had been shooting for. Now it seems the whole process could be delayed again, still for the first time in nearly 3.5 years since the UK voted in a referendum to leave the EU. Parliament, the UK's politicians, finally approved a plan to act on the voters' decision. The Brexit saga continues. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
On Wall Street, what amounts to a late sell-off, the Dow finishes down 40 points. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Live the balanced lifestyle. Take Care Insurance offers proven wellness and fitness programs to encourage individuals and families to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle through preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing and unwinding, and being socially connected. They have the island's largest offering of free fitness classes and health education programs for all ages. Join the movement. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram or visit takecareasia.com to learn more.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Life happens. You need to go to work. The kids need to go to school. There are family events, friend events, any event, and everyone needs to communicate. When you need mobile services that you know you can rely on, choose GTA. As the winner of Ookla's 2019 award for Best Mobile Coverage on Guam, you can rely on us to offer you better plans to modernize your life, fit your needs, and keep you connected. So visit us today and let us help you connect. GTA, we start with you.
And good morning. It's 6 minutes past the hour. I'm Ana Silva Tyron with some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Police are looking for a man wanted in connection with a robbery at a Guam game room. The picture of the man circulated yesterday and can be seen in the Guam Daily Post this morning. Police say that the unnamed man is wanted for questioning in their investigation into the robbery at Lucky Land Game Room off of Machechi Road in Dededo. The robbery occurred in the early morning hours of October 7th when the suspect entered the establishment and broke the windows to gain entry. The cashier on duty was punched. Police released an image of the man who was wearing a blue long-sleeve shirt and dark pants. He's described as weighing about 140 pounds to 150. He's about 5 feet 6 inches tall to about 5 feet 9 inches. The man was seen driving a light blue sedan. The license plate was not captured. Anyone who with information on this man should contact the Guam Police Department, or you can also contact Guam Crime Stoppers. The goal is to end the solid waste receivership by January 31st of next year, bringing an end to the 17-year-old lawsuit. At the district court this week, the judge ordered the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the government of Guam, the Guam Solid Waste Authority Board, and its management, and Guam EPA to continue to cooperate with the receiver, Gershman, Brickner, and Bratton, to ensure the timely review and approval of work associated with the post-closure plan of the ORDOT dump. The receiver earlier this month had recommended dissolving the receivership by December 31st of 2019, but U.S. EPA thought that that time frame was overly optimistic, as a plan first needed to be established for the post-closure of the dump before Guam's solid waste operations are completely turned over to the government of Guam. Control over day-to-day operations of the Solid Waste Authority has been turned over, but the court has maintained the partial receivership for technical work associated with the post-closure of the dump. The federal and local EPA offices still need to approve the post-closure plan for the ORDOT dump and provide the post-closure permit. An independent engineer will be hired to provide technical assistance to Guam EPA. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero says she supports it, but now the Republican Party is jumping into the fight and asking any legislative action on Bill 181 be put off. Bill 181 is the locally introduced war claims bill. The bill would allow for the use of $7.5 million to pay out some war claims to recipients here. But the GOP says the action on it could hinder the timely passage of H.R. 1365, which will allow for the use of up to $40 million in Section 30 funding to be used to pay the war reparations. Guam Republican Party National Committeeman Juan Carlos Benitez asking that action be held off at least until November. Benitez says communication with the Senate Judiciary Committee on October 18th indicated that there has been no opposition to the passage of H.R. 1365. In response to Tuesday's GOP request, Governor Lulian Guerrero has said that she's discussed the December passage of Bill 181 with the Speaker and the Minority Leader of the Guam Legislature. The governor says they are and continue to be on the same page. She says we continue to support the passage of H.R. 1365 because it's about paying out the greatest generation with what they are owed before it's too late. The Guam GOP has also called the governor, congressmen, and majority and minority leaders of the 35th Guam legislature to a bipartisan summit to discuss how Guam can present a unified front to secure the passage of H.R. 1365 and get it in the hands of the president, who has already said he wants to sign it into law. We'll have more news right after this.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
What's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger-licking good.
The government of Guam plans on filing an appeal in the plebiscite lawsuit, but the Attorney General, Levin Camacho, is now advising there are risks associated with filing that appeal. In July, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled Guam's plebiscite law violates American citizens' constitutional right to vote. With the appellate court decision in mind, Guam's Attorney General stated he has fully briefed the governor of the risks involved in appealing the plebiscite case and understands that several factors were considered before a determination was made to appeal. GovGuam's risks include continuing to accrue legal fees and costs. As reported, the governor has tapped Attorney Mike Phillips and Senator Therese Terlahi with taking the lead in that appeal. The Guam Census Office recruiting and hiring hundreds of workers needed to conduct the data collection activities for the 2020 census. Teams from the local census office and the Bureau of Statistics and Plans will be set up in the center court of the Agana Shopping Center today from 10 a.m. until 3, providing job applications and conducting on-site interviews in the first of a series of job fairs. The office will also be looking to fill a variety of full and part-time positions, which include a field operations supervisor, office clerks, crew leaders, and enumerators. Applications can also be picked up and dropped off at the Guam Census Office on the second floor of the Century Plaza in Tamuning. That office is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. And residents of Tocha Cañada will face a period without water this morning as GWA has announced an emergency water outage in that area. A main water line that was damaged last week is damaged yet again this morning. GWA has not said when the water outage will take place, but will provide updates throughout the morning. Well, for more on these stories, you can pick up a copy of the Guam Daily Post or log on to their website at postguam.com. Here now is your weather with Rick.
Well, let's see what we got. Partly cloudy skies today, Mana, with isolated showers. Southeast winds about 10 miles an hour, shifting to the northeast. Tonight, highs around 89 degrees. An overnight low should be about 78 degrees. Sunset for you sunset hunters at 5:57. And we got sunrises this morning that started about 6:12. And I think I might even have some pictures of some groovy sunsets here this morning, including this one from our friend Pam Duvall up in Jigo, where she has sent this gorgeous sunrise. And there's this cloud, this pig-looking like cloud in the midst of all of that.
Floating pigs.
Little, maybe even the baby crepuscular rays that are out there. You think?
That could be. Yeah, it could be.
It could be more clouds. I don't know.
It's looking a little weird here because it doesn't have a clear radiant but for us to see if it's crepuscular or not. It could be some crepuscular action going on in the upper cloud areas, and so that's a really nice picture, though. Looking at this radar here, we can see there's really nothing out there. That's why I was kind of wondering, could it be crepuscular? Because with the crepuscular...
You need a cloud to make it crepuscular.
Yeah, you've got to have those thunderstorms out there, and we really don't have much of that going on, but it still could happen from time to time. Yeah, that's just what we see out there, just a light flow. Now, we see that the winds now have shifted to the southeast. They will continue to shift on around the right side of that clock and will be coming out of the northeast by later on this evening, and then they'll stay that way for the next several days. And really, man, it's looking good for the next few days. We've got no major weather systems out there to even be concerned about on any level. As we can see, the big storm is now already moving pretty much due north. It's going to move north, get into cooler water, and it's just going to go away. So that's all.
But I don't know. I mean, you saw the story that I printed out this morning. Zombie storm threatens Japan with rain and wind and floods. And the zombie storm that they're talking about is there's either Neoguri, or this one here, the one.
Yeah, Neoguri actually is already transitioning into an extratropical system and is getting pulled up into the jet stream. It's going to get cleared out very soon. This storm here is only going to skirt the outermost eastern islands of Japan, and I'm talking about like Iwo Jima and these areas, and probably not even get into the mainland areas of Japan. So, I don't know, and I don't really get the zombie reference.
I don't either. I was looking at that going, I don't think I've ever heard or seen anybody refer to a storm as a zombie storm, unless they're thinking that maybe this thing is going to be, by the time it gets there, it'll be Halloween.
Darn kids got to sensationalize everything.
Crazy, right? 6:16 in the morning. That's news and weather together, brought to you by Bank Pacific, banking on the Pacific for 65 years. Konnichiwa! We'll be celebrating the 40th Japan Autumn Festival on Saturday, November 16th from 2 until 9 at the Governor Joseph Flores Beach Park. That's Ipao Beach Park. Parking will be available across Oka Payless with free shuttle service every 15 minutes starting at 1:30. Advance tickets available now at the Japan Club of Guam office located on the first floor of Pia Marine during business hours. The Japan Autumn Festival at Ipao Beach Park, November 16th from 2 to 9. Come join us. For information, call 646-8066. This message made possible by Choice Broadcasting. Easily one of my favorite parties of the year, the Japan Autumn Festival Aki Matsuri is coming to Guam again, and as far as I'm concerned, that is one of these signs that we are definitely kicking off the holidays. It's time to kick off breakfast. To find that at Wendy's, there are 5 local breakfast platters, eggs, rice, and breakfast meat for just $4. Favorites like applewood, smoked bacon, Portuguese sausage, and country fried chicken with gravy. Wendy's breakfast platter, $4. The real deal at breakfast is at Wendy's. Now that's better. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Lines. That's a global presence with a local home.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
6:17 in the morning. It's the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3. The Point. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. And I think it is a little bit messy here this morning. My name is Ray, and we got Duke Skytalker, Michael Knight, in the Point Weather Center. He's going to be taking care of news and weather information and pick up the phone. Actually, the news is taken care of by Mona, but I do need to let you know. Get the phone when you call it, 888-8255. That's 888-TALK this morning. And then, of course, we got baby sister Mona Silva Tyron, and she's going to be taking care of making sure that we're up to speed on all the big news stories here today, up to and including the now top story on Guam, which is the Davis case.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have an opinion one way or the other on the Davis case, and so even Mike Sinicolas out in Washington D.C. has chimed in on this, and as you might imagine, it's probably not cutting the same groove as the governor's office. He seems to be running counter to whatever it is that Lou wants to do. I think Mike's going to have a whole other opinion on it, and so he's
just because.
Yeah, just because, and it looks like. Did I read a story yesterday where it looks like Therese Terlai has declined the governor's invitation to screw up her life and her legal career?
No, it sounded like she was down to be part of it.
There was something I read on the FB yesterday, on the Facebook yesterday. I got to go find that because it sounded like she had declined the opportunity to work with Mike Phillips on this particular case at at this particular time. I'll see if I can dig that up again this morning. And I thought, cool. That means that she listens to the program, because that was the advice that I gave her yesterday. You need to take your legislative 10-foot pole and push this thing as far. There is no high. Even if you won, you ain't going to get any credit for it. Mike will get the credit for it, or Lou will get the credit for it. And if you lose, if the Supreme Court doesn't even take up the appeal, they'll say it was your fault. So it seems to me the easiest way to deal with this is just go and run off in the other direction. Say, well, I've got to take care of the people's business over here at the legislature. The theme for today's program is speaking cursive, and my buddy Dennis Bensour has got. And for those of you that don't understand the concept of speaking cursive or want to try it this morning, Dennis has got some ideas on how you can get started on speaking cursive.
That would help. That and Bacardi 151 will get you there real quick.
Well, and he's a chef, so you can use Bacardi 151 in your cooking.
Oh, sure.
So
it
I
makes
think that's
wonderful flaming dishes.
Exactly. There you have flambe. Did that, which is a culinary term,
right? Yeah.
Is it also? Michael,
do they still make 151?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
That used to be the only thing I would
drink. Or is it
drink.
180 that they don't make anymore? Because I saw
your older brother has started more than one barbecue fire with Bacardi 151.
But I was watching the Tipsy Bartender. I don't know if you've seen him on Facebook, but I don't know if maybe it was 180 proof that they don't make anymore.
I'm not sure. Well, Everclear is 190.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, it's 95% pure
Wow.
alcohol. So, I'm not sure that they've stopped making any alcohol. They just want to quit making weed.
There's a story. Michael and Piaco actually sent me a story, and let's see if I can scare that up on the screen here, about, where is this? Aurora, which is... cannabis. I'm not sure where the Aurora is. The story comes from Forbes, and Aurora Cannabis is dumping its pot, which may be a sign that it's all over, is the way the story reads. And the story goes along the lines. It starts to tell the story of how in the First World War there was all these people that were making corn, and corn was a big crop, and there were all these people. They just plow everything else under because corn was the big in-demand crop. And then the market crashed, and nobody was buying corn. Certainly not buying it at the previous levels, so they dumped it. They burn it. They burned their cornfields, and the story goes on to read about how there are certain parts of the United States of America, it smelled like a movie theater at night because there was so much popcorn that had been burned. And now they're saying that they're having the same problem with cannabis. There's so many people that are growing cannabis that you can't make any money selling it anymore because there's even with marijuana, there's a limited demand, and all these people, they put together their business plans based on a certain price expectation, and you can't get there anymore because if I'm selling it for $100 an ounce and you've got plenty of supply, you'll dump yours for $50 an ounce.
That's right, and that's the going thought for the consumers here on Guam because the prices here are super high, and so they're thinking, well, once this thing gets put into place, the prices will start to decrease a bit. Although I'm not so sure because people on Guam are greedy, and so I'm
not all of us are greedy. Are you talking the drug dealers are greedy?
Yeah, and the supply and demand will ultimately prevail. It has to, because that's just how.
But like I said, the crazy thing is the prices, according to some people, they say the prices of an ounce of marijuana has remained the same, despite the fact that it is now legal here on Guam to you can't buy and sell it, but you can grow your own. But so the prices have remained the same. However, there are more and more people that will be more than happy to give you an ounce of marijuana. Just here you go, we're friends. Here's some sticky icky. So funny conversation.
I don't have those friends.
You don't. Maybe you just don't know how to ask.
I don't get out.
You got to do it like back in the 70s. Hey, carrying 6:23 in the morning. And welcome to the program. As I said, it is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3. We've got the important people here in this time zone. But what about folks in other time zones? The Facebook time zone.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Oh, that's nice. Al Batista, number one today. Congratulations to you, big one. Tony and Neto and Pinko Ada are online as well. John Ray Titano, Heather Perez, there's Rico Blancaflor, and Jay Beeson Nicholas. Happy birthday to Ismael's wife, Lisa. And I knew that by the time I got around to doing this part, Ismael's birthday greeting to Lisa would already be passed. So I took a screen cap of it so I could read it. It says, I want to wish a happy birthday to my amazing wife, Lisa. I know I don't say it often, but I'm proud to be your husband. We need music. I know I don't say it often, but I'm proud to be your husband and of the amazing mother and woman you are. I know it's been a rough year with Dad passing, but he lives on through you and our amazing boys. Who guides a how, and happy birthday from Ismael to his wife, Lisa. Isn't that the sweetest thing that you're going to hear all morning long? We're just it's so sweet. Mana's lower lip is like a quiver. You just want to call Phil now, don't you? And say, hey, Phil, don't forget my birthday's coming up. And Mana's birthday is coming up.
Well, he knows because I made sure that we wouldn't forget. We got married on my birthday, so...
That's the way to do that. Either your birthday, Christmas, or the personal favorite is the 4th of July.
You can't forget it.
Next time I get married, it'll be the 4th of July or Liberation Day, because then I know that there will always be fireworks.
Except I did myself in because, you know what, I only get one present now.
Huh? Oh, the birthday present / anniversary present? Oh, that is kind of a suck.
Yeah.
But
so it's a bad idea for anyone else thinking of it?
Yeah, maybe not. Wen's online. Wait, let me just go and say, okay, so we got Ismael taken care of. Happy birthday to Lisa. Randy Kruger's online. Dennis Bensour, who we've already seen and heard from this morning. Thanks, appreciate that. And Nick Perlowski. James Howard's there. And Nate Horn and Keenan McCausland were talking about that massive game yesterday. Huge blowout yesterday between the Patriots and the Jets. And I have not yet seen the results of Game 1 of the World Series. You got it?
No, that's at 10 o'clock this morning.
Oh, that's why. Okay, got it.
That's why I'm so nervous this morning. That's why I'm all keyed up, man. I'm like hyper as heck because it's Game 1.
Jennifer Poschnitger's online. Gabrielle Williams, nice to see you there, sweetheart. Eunice Mendiola is hanging out. Bob Ellsworth. Richard Leon is there, and we'll start raising hell in a couple of minutes. As soon as I give him a story that he can start raising hell with, he will. Charlene Marchessault's online. Good to see. Greg Carabrock. Rose Greeno. Lillian Cruz is hanging out. Peter J. Santos. Good morning, sir. Biba Hump Day, he says. I got Joy and Pinko and Joette Cruz saying good morning. Ray, Mike, and Mana got to take action on those parents that allow their kids to bring marijuana to school, and that idiot, if it really was only weed that made him take police on a high-speed chase. Don't ruin what we voted for and stop abusing our privilege. Last, stop blaming marijuana. There's a story about a guy that took police on a, quote, high-speed chase yesterday. They reached speeds in excess of 55 miles an hour. And so the conventional wisdom here is that he was lifted up on something else, because if he was just smoking marijuana, there's no way that car would have gone any higher than about 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, about 15's all you'll get, man, with some good buds.
It's just one of those things where, your perception of speed changes, I heard. And if you think you're going pretty quick, you're actually going rather slow down the road. So I'm not so sure about that. Vince Duenas is online. I see who else has got Ismael. What's he commenting on? The lieutenant governor be like, she said, you will reappeal the case. If you've got an issue with it and you don't like it, then maybe you should run for governor. That's funny. Ken Leon Guerrero. And you know what, Ken, next time it's your birthday, say something while we're talking about it on the radio. Went through the entire conversation yesterday, and I didn't know that it was Ken Leon Guerrero's birthday.
I didn't realize till I got home yesterday and saw it on Facebook.
Everybody seemed to know it except us. But happy belated birthday to you, Ken LG. If it's any consolation, it's still your birthday in Las Vegas, where Henry Gonzalez is tuned in this morning. Did I say Mingo Rees there? Good. Okay, Therese Ngoko Herrera is on, saying half a day and good morning from Japan. Therese, what are you doing awake in Japan? It's 4:30 in the morning, or is it 3:30? No, it's 5:30 in the morning, right? They're only 1 hour away.
They're only 1 hour.
All right, so that's not terrible. It's not like you're in the Philippines or like Al out in Korea, being awake super early. Jasper Sills online. I got Editha Camarillo and Denise Legaspi is hanging out this morning. Nice to see you, Lady D. Paris Mendiola Blas, and as I'm fond of saying, we'll always have Paris. Lillian Cruz is there. Jay Rojas. Levon C. Guerrero Meno is on. Did you want to say good morning to Jay?
Hi, Jay.
Jay, don't forget Mona's birthday is coming up. Cody James is online. James says
Ray Gibson, that is so far away from here.
It's November. It's the middle of November,
like
and it's
4
already
weeks.
the end of. Okay, so I recognize it. There's a certain kind of anxiety that I have around the end of the year because there's just so much going on.
Miami's birthday.
Miami's birthday is coming up. Your birthday is coming up. Shelly's birthday is coming up. Dave's birthday is coming up. Jesus' birthday is coming up. 62 days away from Jesus' birthday, FYI. I did the calculations. It's 62 days and like 17 hours from now, it's going to be Christmas. Has anybody got a handle on how to start things? We were talking yesterday about hanging up some Christmas lights, etc. Mike King's online saying good morning to us. Jay Rojas saying happy birthday to you. Chris Watson is so
Again, he did something on my Facebook. I don't know what he and Artie did, but there was a period in early October where everyone was wishing me a happy birthday. And I was like, you know what, Jay Rojas?
It ain't right. It's against God's plan. Ronnie Perez Montaña is hanging out with us. Josephine Blas, good morning, Major. Good to see you. Annette Ada Vasquez out in the west coast of the United States of America is listening to the broadcast. So is Deanna Palmer. You need to do some real estate stuff. Find her, and she'll tell you what's hot these days. Carlos Barreto is online, who I saw last night having an enjoyable dinner with Jerry. Gerard Estoy, Mark Cruz is there, and Keena's birthday is after Thanksgiving this year. For those of you that are tuned in, hey, old buddy Mike Geisinger up in Saipan is checking out the Facebook Live this morning.
Hi,
nice to see you there. It's 6:30 in the morning, and there's the hail and hellos to everybody that is hanging out. And I've got a few items. Obviously, I've got a few items on the table of contents. Interested to hear what your thoughts are on some of these big deals here. Top of the fold in the Guam Daily Post. The AG says the Supreme Court appeal has risks. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, they say. We've got money to spend on this case. We've got lawyers to hire, and the first thing I guess they're going to be doing, Mike Phillips says, we're going to ask for an extension on the case so that we can build our case to take with us to the SCOTUS of the United States, and maybe we'll be able to convince them in that particular court where we have never been able to convince anybody in any other court about our wishes on self-determination and that case that Dave Davis has now famously taken to court. The delegate, as I said, Mike Sinicholas wants to go off in a completely other direction and says, why do we need to spend money on this? Why don't we just have the vote? Just have the vote. Just let everybody vote. It's a non-binding thing anyway. What difference is it going to make if everybody on Guam, universal suffrage, gets to have a vote, a turn at the ballot on this? And so he's pushing off in that direction. I'm curious with all of this conversation. I know that it brings up a certain nationalistic fervor around here, but among the general unwashed public, and that includes all of you, regardless of whether you've got Chamorro blood in you or not, does it really, at the end of the day, make all that much difference?
You know, I got a casual observation from the new guy. I've only been here just on 3 years now. We're in Asia. And Asian influence is actually pretty big here. Politicians here care more about how it looks rather than
optics.
how it does.
Right,
And
yes.
so that's what we've got going on here. We got people that are trying to make themselves look impressive instead of just actually getting something done.
Yeah. Maybe let's do that after we take care of that god-awful, butt-ugly chain link fence in front of John F. Kennedy High School. Just saying. 6:30, priorities, baby. It's 6:32 in the morning, and we'll get around to taking a look at the rest of the table of contents. And naturally, when we start talking about major court cases and the kind that that will cost us money. Mike Phillips, a fine lawyer, he is not the cheapest guy out there. I don't know that he would take this on a contingency, because I don't know if there's any contingency to be able to get on this case. But Mike Phillips before the Supreme Court of the United States of America could be very, very convincing, but it could come with a big price tag. Where's the money going to come from? As I was joking yesterday, I don't know, we'll take it from the kids at the Department of Education, or we'll take it from the patients over at the Guam Memorial Hospital. The last place we will get money to pay Mike Phillips is going to be the FestPac Fund. It's 6:33 in the morning, and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Mana Silva Tyra.
Well, police are asking the public to help them locate a man wanted in connection with the robbery of the Lucky Game Room earlier this month. An image of the man was circulated yesterday and can be seen in the Guam Daily Post. The suspect entered the Dedito Game Room and punched the cashier. The man was last seen wearing a blue long-sleeve shirt and dark pants and driving a light blue sedan. Call police or Crime Stoppers if you have any information. A district court judge wants to finally end the solid waste receivership and has called on all parties to work together to wrap it up. Judge Frances Tadinko Gatewood, looking at January 31st, 2020 as the end date, she's called on the U.S. EPA, Guam EPA, and the government of Guam to work with the receiver to ensure the timely review and approval of work associated with the post-closure plan of the ORDOT dump. And they're looking to fill 700 jobs, and a job fair will be held today at the Agana Shopping Center. The Guam Census Office is recruiting people to help conduct the 2020 census. The job fair will be from 10 a.m. until 3 this afternoon. Also, Governor Lilian Guerrero says she supports it, but now the Republican Party is jumping into the fight. They've asked any legislative action on Bill 181 to be put off, at least until November. The Republican Party chairman says that they do have support from the Senate to pass H.R. 1365. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. I'm Mana Silva Tyrant.
Thanks, Mana Silva Tyrant. Are you self-motivated, energetic, and outgoing? Well, iConnect is looking for the right people to be part of their corporate sales teams. If you've got sales experience, excellent communication skills, and can work with be a part of a team, then you should apply. Send your resume to hr@iconnectguam.com or visit iConnect's main office or at the Micronesia Mall to grab your application. iConnect is an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the all-new Pit Smoke Brisket. How would you like it?
I'll take a man who knows what's what.
Y'all know what? The all-new Pit Smoke Brisket at Subway is smoked slower than a slug going up a down escalator, that's what. I'm talking tender, juicy brisket, naturally pit smoked for at least 13 hours. What's more, it's got layer after layer of smoky flavor. Smoked cheddar and barbecue sauce on delicious Italian bread. Subway, make it what y'all want, what not. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Sorry, just love that commercial. Make it what you want and what not. It's 6:36 in the morning. Time to take a look at the traffic gizmo. Is there anything working here today? Don't see it. The early morning traffic on my God, it's Wednesday already, isn't it? Early morning traffic Wednesday is looking pretty good. Southbound Marine Corps Drive all the way down to Kmart. Nothing to slow you down if you're headed in that direction. A little bit of traffic up around the schools on Route 3 and nothing major at that intersection either. Might see a couple of things on Route 16 over at the Micronesia Mall intersection, but it's mostly traffic that is turning into Route 16. Nothing to slow you down at 8, 10, and 16. Route 10 is running real clear right now. Don't see anything that's going to slow you down up and down Route 4 as you're using that to get into the downtown Agana area. Nothing in front of Big Navy, nothing in front of Navy Hospital currently. If you see something happening on the roadways, 888-8255-888-TALK or what's happening at 988-5874 with pictures like the one that I got on the screen right now.
We understand what matters to you because at Docomo Pacific, we're a family too. With the Now Family program, mom, dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices the whole family can enjoy. For just $155 a month, get 3 lines with 30 gigs of 4G LTE data each, and endless use of your favorite apps without affecting your monthly data bucket. Add more, get more, save more. Docomo Pacific, better together. Some conditions apply.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
happening with a little bit more frequency these days. We will get, as members of the media, we will get notifications from the Guam Police Department about certain criminal activities and people of interest that they would like us to ask you to be on the lookout for. Yesterday, this went out, and basically their version of a wanted poster, and I looked at it and I said, well, this is interesting. Who is this guy? And where it says name, it says unknown. We don't know who this guy is. And virtually everything else is unknown. Under gender, they said male. And so we would presume that it is some kind of a male. So I'm looking at the picture. We were trying to figure out here at the radio station which album cover this looks like. Is this an album cover from like a Depeche Mode thing or like an old Cure, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me? Yeah,
like
I don't.
A Babyface.
Maybe Babyface. You know, does it look like it looks like it should be?
Well, you know, when I saw
an
this
album
yesterday,
cover.
I actually thought it was a joke because it was
Because it said unknown. It was
because there was a bunch of DJs sending it around, and I was like, "Is this a joke?"
Yeah,
Is
well,
this somebody's...
apparently this is the guy that was, involved in the Lucky Land game room
Because he looks
heist.
like he's in the middle of like some dirty dancing or something.
Mm-hmm. Fixing his hair, doing something with a mask. I don't know what it is. And so it's obviously not the best picture of some kind of criminal that's the thug that's floating around out there. But who knows? Maybe he's still out there wearing what looks like a cool. Pop the collar, Izod shirt, and that looks an awful lot like the sweater that I wear. The polo sweater that I wear. Yeah, so I got to say the guy's got good fashion sense. This is the best dressed robber that we've got here on Guam. Anyway, so this if you think you know the guy, then drop a dime on him and call the police department. Or if you are like me, interested in being creative, grab that and turn that into an album cover. Some of you have got those skills. I did pop my collar. I bought this shirt in particular because it looks good with the collar popped. At least I think so.
It does.
It's a pretty Zara shirt that I got in the Philippines last time I was there. Anyway, 6:39 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK. As we peruse some of the big headlines this morning, and as I said, among them, the biggest one is going to be the Supreme Court case. Now, the island of Guam intends to once again return to the Supreme Court of the United States of America, and we're going to be appealing the ruling in the Davis case. As I'm fond of doing, and because we've got the resource to be able to do it, when we get into complex and complicated legal discussions, it's best if you have somebody on staff and nearby that has got JD. And in this case, this particular JD is a judge and a former senator and a Marine. Bob Klitsky is on the line. Good morning, Mr. Tall Tales. How you doing?
Yeah, real good, Ray. It's always a pleasure to be on the Ray Gibson show.
Well, I'm glad that you think so. And in this case, long distance, which of the contiguous 48 are you in right now?
I'm in the biggest one. It's called Texas.
Hey, how about that? Is everybody going crazy over the Astros being in the World Series?
Yeah, they're pretty happy about it.
They're pretty kind of understated. Yeah, okay. Well, so we've got this case now, and we don't need to go over the bits and pieces, I suppose, of the Davis case. But Governor Lou Leon Guerrero and other, quote, legal experts have suggested that we should not, again, quote, forsake our right of appeal in this case. And I wanted to know, because I consider you a legal expert, would you have given the governor that particular kind of advice?
Well, no, I wouldn't have, because first of all, we don't have a, quote, right of appeal. And when you're talking legal matters, precision is not just a nice thing, it's kind of required.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that you get to the Supreme Court of the United States from the highest court of a state or territory is to file what's called a petition for writ of certiorari.
Okay.
And having filed a petition for writ of certiorari, the norms of the Supreme Court will go over those, the law clerks, etc., and they will grant about 80 of those petitions every year. About 8,000 petitions are filed. And if 4 justices vote to grant a petition for writ of certiorari, then it will be put on the Supreme Court calendar. Otherwise, it's just a nice exercise in paper.
So you don't believe that that the writ would be granted at the Supreme Court?
Well, look at the odds: 8 out of 8,000, and then there are certain things that are more likely to be granted than not. One of the leading categories is called a division of the circuits.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that in our situation, the Ninth Circuit had ruled one way on the question involved here, and I think it's the Third Circuit that has jurisdiction over the Virgin Islands had ruled the other way. The circuits would be divided, and when that happens, the court is more likely to grant cert so that we have a uniformity amongst the various circuits.
We don't have that in this case.
No, we don't have that, and of course, Guam is not a state; it's a territory. So the chances of the circuits being divided on a matter important to one of the states pretty slim. But states don't usually do things like we're trying to do that were stopped by the Davis case. So I think the chances of the Supreme Court granting a petition for writ of certiorari on this particular case are somewhere down between slim and none.
And the Attorney General has advised the governor and her legal team of the risks involved. There's not a whole lot by way of the statement, but he has at least gone to them and said, well, there's risks involved in taking this case to the Supreme Court. Of them are that the case might be taken up. I mean, let's assume that Guam's lucky and the world always rolls in our favor. The dice always come out in our favor. We're going to roll 2 6s on this, and we're going to get into the Supreme Court. If a writ of certiorari is granted to Guam, what's the likelihood of a successful outcome?
Well, as our Attorney General has opined, if it were before the Supreme Court, it's kind of no holds barred. The Supreme Court could go beyond the issue presented. Of course, the issue might be presented by the United States. It's doubtful, but perhaps the Supreme Court could come back and rule and say, your Organic Act allows you to do legislation of let's see, I think it's proper legislation, and this kind of thing is not proper. So forget about, quote, Chamorro self-determination, close quote.
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility. Not a likelihood, but a possibility.
I'm wondering how they're going to frame this case and this appeal so that it rides along the 15th Amendment. And the Ninth Circuit says it doesn't.
If I were whispering in the Attorney General's ear, I would suggest to him that he stop trying to finesse this matter and address it full on, address it from the standpoint that you hear Michael Bavacqua address it. That is, that there is a distinct group of people. They're called Chamorros. They were colonized by the Spaniards, colonized by the Americans, colonized by the Japanese, and it's time that the Supreme Court address this colonization matter. I don't think you can find a whole lot of case law on that point. But in the last time around, when we tried to finesse it by saying, well, this really isn't about Chamorros, it's about native inhabitants, that didn't work, and it probably didn't satisfy anyone that we lost for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be the most that could be hoped for as a legal matter. If to lose, at least lose for the right reasons. But I don't think that, as I've read the newspapers and tried to follow along, I don't see that the governor has made a legal decision here. I think she's made a political decision. And I'd go back and read a couple of her quotes along those lines. She said, I have always believed that our right to self-determination belongs to the native inhabitants of Guam, because only the native inhabitants of Guam were denied that most basic of human rights.
Mm-hmm.
While I appreciate the risks involved, I cannot deny our people the right of an appeal so long as others may be willing to champion it. Well, what the governor said is exactly what the what the Ninth Circuit said you can't do. So I see this as more the governor appealing to one part of the electorate over others, and that's why she and that's the reason why at this late date she decided to go forward with the petition for cert.
There's a line here in another story, this one here from Sabrina over at KUAM. In a release, the Attorney General, Levin Camacho, says he's fully briefed the governor of the significant risks involved with appealing the plebiscite case and understands that several factors were considered before a determination was made to appeal. The OAG respects the decision to move forward with the appeal and will facilitate, quote, the transition of representation for this phase of the plebiscite case to Attorney Mike Phillips. Whose budget is this going to be coming out of? The Attorney General's budget to pay the now Mike Phillips's fees, or will that come out of the General Treasury of the government of Guam?
Well, the Election Commission is the nominal defendant in the case, so one would think that it would come out of the Election Commission's budget, which wouldn't be sufficient to pay for this.
I don't think it's sufficient to pay for the next primary.
Correct. So there'd have to be a little financial legerdemain here, but it's all going to come out of the taxpayer's pocket, regardless of which font issues the fund.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, on another subject related, because it is a Supreme Court case, this one here involving the Promesa in Puerto Rico. And I spent some time with Juan Carlos Benitez and Neil Weir talking about this the other day, and it looks like both sides in this case seem to be in favor of dismantling what has been referred to as the insular cases and the rulings of the insular cases. Now, I've heard you riff on this before on Tall Tales, but is there a possibility, is there a likelihood that maybe the Supreme Court could rule that everything stemming from the original rulings of those insular cases could be rendered moot by a current decision by them? And if that were the case, what would happen to separate but equal? What would the horns of the dilemma on that be?
Well, if that happened, it would be a horrible disaster for our island. And by the way, I noticed that Michael San Nicolas has gotten on the racist insular cases bandwagon also. I think it's possible that could happen, but if it did, well, first of all, everybody likes to talk about the insular cases, but not very many people have read the insular cases. There are about 20 cases altogether that you could call the insular cases. But the big three are Downs versus Bidwell, Downs versus DeLima versus Bidwell, Downs versus Bidwell, and Balzac versus Puerto Rico. And the one that everybody thinks they're talking about when they say insular cases is Downs versus Bidwell, which was a case that dealt with a little over $600 tariff on some bananas imported from Puerto Rico to the United States. It wasn't about native inhabitants or that sort of thing. So Bidwell was a collector of customs for New York, and he charged Mr. Downs, the importer, that customs duty on those bananas. And Downs said, hey, wait a minute, you can't charge me customs duty on those things. They came from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's ours. And without going into another couple complexities based on the Foraker Act at the time, which was the Organic Act for Puerto Rico, the Supreme Court held that Article 1, Section 8, first paragraph, did not apply to Puerto Rico, the Philippines, Cuba for a few minutes, because because, well, I guess it's kind of hard to come up with a because, but the key is that the uniformity clause did not apply. If the uniformity clause applied, then the tariffs would have applied. So the way I read the Insular case, and by the way, it was hotly contested. It was most of them were 5-4 decisions. And at the turn of the century, it was perhaps, of the last century, it was perhaps one of the top issues in the public press. We had the imperialists, which were Republicans, and the anti-imperialists, which were Democrats, led by William Jennings Bryan, the Boy Order of the Platte. So it was a close case, but it turned on a matter of tariffs, not on a matter of
race.
Whether not on a matter of alien races and things like that, which was not part of the ratio decidendi at all. Mike Fennick was way off basis on that. I had an interesting.
Well, you know how it is. One person referred to it as the racist insular cases, so everybody else is going to say that I heard it was racist, therefore it is.
Everybody knows that it's racist, therefore it is. But that isn't. If you read Downs versus Bidwell, you wouldn't come away with that impression. You would come away with the impression that commercial interests went at it hammer and tongs over a commercial matter that was also coached in an anti-imperialist tone. But let's suppose that in this Puerto Rico case here, let's say that the Supreme Court expressly overruled Downs and De Lima and Balzac. What would happen then would be that Guam would not be an unincorporated territory.
Right.
It would be an incorporated territory. Now that sounds, you're just listening to the word, you think, well, incorporated must be better than unincorporated.
Well, it means that means that there's a plan for statehood. That means that we're fast tracking now to statehood. We'd be like Alaska and Hawaii.
Well, it really doesn't, because what it means is that the uniformity clause now would apply. No more duty-free shopping in Guam. No more mirror image tax code in Guam. It would be treated just like Hawaii was and Alaska was and the continental territories before they became states. Hawaii didn't elect a governor until it became a state. The territory of Hawaii never elected governors. So all of the stuff that we don't like about the national government, all the rules and regulations, et cetera, would apply, but we wouldn't get to keep the taxes.
Ooh.
That would be the difference. So I don't see this as a good outcome at all.
Interesting. So I wanted to make sure I got at least your opinion on that and the other stuff. Listen, you have a fantastic time in the state of Texas. Certainly appreciate the time this morning, and didn't mean to cut into your vacation. We'll talk some more in the emails. All right.
Sounds good, Ray.
All right, appreciate it. Senator Bob Klitsky, Judge Bob Klitsky, and my legal expert, Bob Klitsky, and those are his thoughts on a couple of deals that we're working through here this morning. One of them, the Promesa case, that's the most recent thing that we talked about, but his thoughts on this appeal to the Supreme Court and how, that's probably not going to work out. They probably won't even bring it up. It's going to be difficult in the face of all kinds of other more weightier appeals to the Supreme Court that they could be reviewing, and our odds are kind of a drop in the bucket to get there. Your thoughts on it? 888-8255-888-TALK. Who's playing around in the Facebooks? I see Anita Santos there, or as it says on her profile, Santos Anita, no comma. Vivian Cunningham is there. Tommy Bernardo, good morning to nephew R.D. Gibson. Kevin Canatta. Rick Leone is online. Charlie Hermosa. Jennifer Post-Schnitger is online. Deanna says, you both crack me up with your banter. Nice to be smiling in the morning. Well, that's part of the idea here. We generally tend to stay away from frowny face stuff, and especially on Fridays, we don't do frowny faces at all. Ron and Cindy De La Rosa is there. Charlie Laron from GRMC. Rico Blancaflor, excited that the Judge Bob is on the point this morning. Melissa Salas Akimoto is running around. I told you it wouldn't be long before Richard Leone found something to raise Cain about. He says, no other idea offered by little Lulu Leon Guerrero to demonstrate the seriousness of decolonization. And it might come down to how you feel about all of this stuff. Do you think that it is in line for the government of Guam to incur additional expenses with a private attorney to handle this case, taking it to the Supreme Court, even though, as already pointed out by our Attorney General, that there are a lot of risks. The risk that they won't entertain it and the risk that we'll get in there and lose the case. Is that really what you want to be able to do? Or is the answer, just as Mike St. Nicholas says, universal suffrage? Everybody vote. Put it on the ballot in the next election and see where it goes from there. Your thoughts, 888-8255-888-TALK. Jose Martinez is there. Angie Antonio Yagi is online. Nick Perlascu says, we don't need a Don Quixote store here. We've got our own governor trying to slay windmills. Rita Camacho Hugo, John Wigston. Good morning, Auntie Cheryl Mesa. Nice to have you there. Deanna Palmer with another comment. If they want to take this to the Supreme Court, do car washes and raise money for the attorney's costs. Lisa Kanata, good morning to Marvin Iseki. That's Ike. Ismail Velez has got a comment. Do I want to read it? Incorporated means Guam no longer keeps its taxes. Yeah, right off the top here. If that Promesa case comes through and they change the separate but equal designation for Guam, as Senator Klitsky points out, all of the things that we currently enjoy, and there is a unique flavor that we have here on Guam, and I don't know that a lot of people get it, but I've always kind of enjoyed the idea that for almost all of the things that we've got to do to deal with the federal government, in a lot of cases is give us money, go away. Give us all of the money. I need SNAP, I need school, I need this, I need that, I need grants, I need all of this other stuff. And then when they start talking about, okay, we'll do that, but you know what? We got to do something about cockfighting. We're like, oh, no, get out of here with that. Go away. Keep your opinion to yourself. Yeah. We'll take some more of that money, and they come back and say, well, you know, maybe this marijuana thing, because it's still a Schedule 1. We're good. Shut up. Get out of here with that kind of nonsense. I kind of like that idea, and maybe if we were more equal, that would be more of a problem for us. Bob Lazama, Kenny Williams, Ted at the Ranch, Adonis Mendiola, all kinds of people just like you enjoying the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3. The Point. Fox News Live's coming up. Monta Silva's coming up. And Jerry Roberts with the Extra Point. That's ahead right here on The Point.
New insights in the impeachment probe. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The latest impeachment witness behind closed doors with 3 House committees. Fox's Jared Halpern is live on Capitol Hill.
Well, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine told Congress there were 2 channels for policymaking on Ukraine, one regular and one irregular. In a closed-door deposition, acting Ukraine Ambassador Bill Taylor described an irregular diplomatic channel through President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, and the outgoing Energy Secretary, Rick Perry. Taylor is a central figure in the impeachment inquiry after raising concerns about withholding military assistance to Ukraine to push for investigations of the 2016 election and former Vice President Joe Biden. Lisa.
Jared, the White House says President Trump wasn't trying to compare himself to horrific history when he described the impeachment process earlier today as a lynching. That's drawn bipartisan criticism, but South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham defends the president's use of the word.
It's a kangaroo court. It's a sham. It's not the word, it's the conduct.
Democratic Senator and presidential hopeful Kamala Harris says the president is invoking torture to whitewash his own corruption. A renewed debate in Washington over Syria.
We don't even know what's going to happen next. The Trump administration can't say what the plan is because they don't even have one.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer pushing unanimous consent for a resolution opposing the president's recent pullback of U.S. troops in northern Syria, but Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul objected.
You can't just say we're going to stay there forever. It would take tens of thousands of troops if you want to pacify Syria. It's not been pacified for 8 years. It's an utter and complete mess, and it's time we get the hell out.
In Syria, a U.S. brokered ceasefire has ended. Now, Turkey and Russia plan joint patrols, and they're giving Kurdish forces a new deadline to withdraw from a wider area. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
Join Nissan Guam on November 3rd as we try to break the Guinness World Record of 250 Nissan vehicles in a motorcade. Register now for only $10 with proceeds going to select charities and get a free World Record Driver t-shirt. Plus, be entered into our raffle giveaway for a chance to win a $1,000 travel voucher from United Airlines and more. Registration is open to the first 370 people and closes November 1st. So hurry. Register online at nissanguam.com or visit our showroom today. No purchase necessary to enter. Raffle conditions apply. See Nissan Guam for details.
One person in custody after a shooting outside a high school in Northern California.
Santa Rosa police say a 17-year-old boy was shot just outside of Ridgeway High School, and he was taken to a hospital with a wound to the stomach. Initially, police said the suspect was at large, but shortly after the shooting,
our officers on the scene detained a possible suspect on the campus of Ridgeway High School. That suspect is being questioned by detectives now. We're still looking for the handgun, which was used in the incident.
That's Captain John Cregan. Lockdowns put in place at Ridgeway, Santa Rosa High, and a nearby junior college have been lifted. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
For the first time today, U.S. health regulators are calling a type of smokeless tobacco less harmful than cigarettes, a decision that could open the door to other less risky options for smokers. Swedish match tobacco pouches become the first so-called reduced risk tobacco product ever sanctioned by the FDA, though it will still come with the mandatory government warnings that they can cause mouth cancer, gum disease, and tooth loss. Britain's prime minister wins some and loses some in Parliament as lawmakers agree in principle with his revised Brexit plan, but then reject his fast-track timetable.
Let me be clear. Our policy remains that we should not delay, that we should leave the EU on October the 31st, and that is what I will say to the EU.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he will pause the revised proposal, instead accelerating plans for a so-called no-deal Brexit. However, another extension hasn't been ruled out. The World Series starts tonight in Houston. The Astros hoping to be the champs for the second time in 3 years, while the Washington Nationals make their World Series debut. A football Hall of Famer has died. Willie Brown was 78, a star cornerback who played for 16 seasons in the NFL, most of them with Oakland. Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Did you know that home loan rates have plunged again? Would you like to take advantage of these lower rates to help lower your monthly payments? Refinancing doesn't have to be for another 30 years. It can be for 10, 15, or 20 years. It's up to you. Reduce your monthly payments. Pay off your loan earlier. At Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Credit conditions apply.
It's a one-of-a-kind wine fundraiser. Guahan Sustainable Culture presents Wine in the Garden. The Hamamoto Gardens help support food sovereignty, security, and sustainability while sipping wines from around the world, surrounded by 50-some acres of beautiful farm and garden. Tickets are $75 each. Proceeds support education and outreach on how important, easy, and fun sustainable practices can be. Wine in the Garden is on Saturday evening, October 26th, starting at 5. For more details, go to our website, gusustainable.org, or call 687-6491.
7 o'clock news from the Guam Daily Post is being brought to you by Proline Automotive, customizing Guam's finest rides. Located in the Harmon Industrial Park.
Half a day and good morning. It's 7:06. Here are some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor Lulian Guerrero announced this week GovGuam will be filing an appeal in the U.S. Supreme Court on the recent ruling in the plebiscite case, but the Attorney General is now advising her of the risks involved in seeking the appeal. In July, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the district court's decision, which struck down Guam's plebiscite law as unconstitutional because it's race-based and in violation of the 15th Amendment. The governor has tapped Attorney Mike Phillips and Senator Therese Terlahi to lead the effort in the U.S. Supreme Court, but the Attorney General, Leven Camacho, is now advising there are risks associated with filing the appeal. With the appellate court's decision in mind, Guam's Attorney General stated he has fully briefed the governor of the risks involved with appealing the plebiscite case and understands that several factors were considered before a determination was made to appeal. Guam's risks do include the accrual of additional legal fees and costs. The lawsuit was filed by Dave Davis, who was not allowed to register to vote in the non-binding plebiscite on Guam's political status. 2 more charges have been dropped in the ongoing trial against former Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority commissioners, this time for Rollin Selvage. The prosecution moved to dismiss 2 conspiracy charges against Selvage, both relating to meetings that took place in December of 2011. Testimony throughout the trial indicated Selvage didn't attend those meetings. Superior Court Judge Anita Sokola granted the dismissal, but Selvage still faces 2 more conspiracy charges related to alleged polling conducted in April of 2015. Sokola denied motions to acquit by lawyers of the other defendants. An alleged secret meeting and decision on December 26, 2011 termed a working session, and April 2015's poll was a vote, and the 2 incidents the prosecution has pointed out are violations of the open government law. 3 former GURA commissioners are currently undergoing trial: Selvage, Cecile Suda, and David Sablan, who also served as chairman of the GURA board. 3 other former commissioners also have proceedings against them, but they are pursuing those separately. After about 2 weeks of testimony, the prosecution has rested its case. Trial continues as the defense now presents its case. The goal is to end the solid waste receivership by January 31st of next year, and the district court this week, the judge ordered U.S. EPA, the Guam EPA, Solid Waste, and GovGuam to all cooperate with the receiver, Gershman, Brickner, and Bratton, to ensure the timely review and approval of work associated with the post-closure plan of the ORDOT dump. The receiver earlier this month had recommended dissolving the receivership by December 31st, but U.S. EPA thought that time frame was overly optimistic, as a plan first needs to be established for the post-closure of the dump before Guam's solid waste operations are completely turned over to the government of Guam. Control over the day-to-day operations of the Solid Waste Authority has been turned over, but the courts maintained the partial receivership for technical work that needs to be done. The federal and local EPA offices still need to approve the post-closure for the ORDOT dump and the plan for the post-closure permit. And the independent engineer will also be hired to provide technical assistance to EPA. We'll have more news after this.
Proline Automotive has everything to customize your whip. From custom wheels to Nankang tires or just hubcaps, they have it. Feel better that it's protected with a dash cover, car cover, seat covers, or floor mats. Visit Proline Automotive, located in Harmon Industrial Park.
Introducing KFC's new macaroni and cheese bowl. It's finger-licking, cheese. KFC chicken. Cheese and chicken for only $5. Visit your nearest KFC and get your hands on this chicken and cheese $5 mac and cheese bowl. Only for a limited time and only at KFC. It's finger-licking good.
3 fast response U.S. Coast Guard cutters are being sent to Guam to help monitor the high seas in light of increased drug trafficking and illegal fishing in the Western Pacific and Oceania. Admiral Carl Schultz, Commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard, shared some details of the plan to homeport 3 of the cutters on Guam over the next 2 or 3 years. He spoke at a global teleconference with U.S. and international media while visiting the Philippines. He says the addition of these cutters will significantly increase the U.S. Coast Guard's presence throughout the region, adding that island nations affiliated with or partners with the U.S. could use some help keeping watch over their exclusive economic zones. Local and federal authorities in the Federated States of Micronesia's Yap State are one step closer to solving the deadly shooting of Yap's acting Attorney General Rachel Bergeron. The local government has confirmed that investigators, who include the FBI, have completed the initial phase of the investigation, are now in an intermediate phase. Investigators have identified several people of interest exactly 1 week after Bergeron was gunned down. Outside of her home in Yap, no names have been released. The case has drawn international attention. Well, police are looking for a man wanted in connection with the robbery of a local game room. The picture of the man was circulated yesterday and can be seen in the Guam Daily Post. Police say the unnamed man was wanted in questioning in their investigation into the robbery at the Lucky Land Game Room in Machechi Road in Dededo. The robbery took place on October 7th. Anyone with information is urged to call the Guam Police Department or Crime Stoppers. And those are your latest headlines from the Guam Daily Post. I'm Mona Silva Tyron.
And we've got the image of this unknown individual that is tied to the Lucky Lounge heist on the screen right now on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Either that or maybe you don't. Maybe it is kind of one of those. Is that R. Kelly? It looks like it might be like an R. Kelly album cover.
But you know, it's really important that if you're going to rob a place, you got to look good.
He's styling, absolutely styling through this thing. He's looking like right at the camera. You know, as Bill Murray says in Ghostbusters, I've worked with better. Not many.
He looks like he's kind of surprised that there are cameras. Like he looked up and he goes, "Oh crap, there's cameras."
There's a camera here. What the heck? Better do something here. Maybe cover my face. There could be some of that. Partly cloudy skies and some isolated showers in today's forecast. Southeast winds about 10 miles an hour. Shifting to the northeast this evening. Highs today about 89 degrees. It's going to be 78 overnight. Sunset tonight at 5:57. And we all watch the sunrise tomorrow morning at about 6:12 or so. And I got some great sunrise pictures that share with you in just a little bit on the Facebook Lives and the YouTube Lives and all of that. Do I need to look at the radar? There really hasn't been anything on the radar screen in the last couple of days.
No, there's not a whole lot. I mean, we've got a little bit of stuff creeping in from the southeast there. That's just usual trade winds, scattered, isolated showers, and they may come through over the next few days. That's really what the Weather Service is saying for us, is that things are going to be really good. There are no large-scale weather systems that'll bother us, but we will have the easterly trades, and with those come just little ripples of energy from time to time to bring us more clouds and a few showers. Just typical Guam weather is what we're going to see for at least the next week. And, of course, now we're getting into November, and that means I'm suspecting...
It's going to snow.
Yeah,
It'll be snow.
Well, at least at maybe 30,000 feet. By the time it gets down here, it just kind of rain again. But we should start looking, I think, maybe in the next 30, 45 days to our first little pushes of continental air. It seems like that the weather systems over continental Asia are a bit robust right now. And so they're pushing down pretty quickly. Philippines already got their first little cool shot of Amihan-type weather. Japan has really been in fall form now for the last 3 weeks. And so, the change of the seasons is upon us.
I'm looking forward to something like that because, as you know, I'm an avid runner. And generally, we get that dry, as you put it, continental air coming down here. And it's a little bit cooler. It's my favorite time of the year for training. Early morning, late afternoon, awesome training opportunities.
Yeah, the best feeling in the world, man, is sitting up in my place with the windows and doors all open and having that nice little 80-degree breeze coming through.
I know exactly what you mean. 7:15, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
In life, we all have the ability to make a difference, to make an impact on someone's life. As we look around us, time never stops, but we are filled with endless moments of gratitude. The art of giving is incorporated in so many different ways. At Guam Gift Baskets, we want to be able to express your gratitude and love to those who you care about. Show your appreciation with a gift made with love this holiday season. Visit our website at guamgiftbaskets.com. See the smiles, touch their hearts, feel the experience.
All quarter after 7 o'clock in the morning, Ray Gibson Show brought to you by American President Lines, APL, with a global presence with a local home, American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water, and Guam Regional Medical City, your first stop in all of your specialty care needs.
The Coconut Wireless is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Got to throw that bass in there, man. 888-825-5888-TALK. Quarter after 7 o'clock in the morning, and interesting day on the markets. The markets are running a little bit backwards, and I'll explain why here in just a second. But first off, let me get you some of the numbers here. S&P 500 off by about 10 points. 29.95, not a huge loss for them. The NASDAQ off by 58 points. A little bit bigger, but not quite a percent loss for the NASDAQ at 81.04. Dow Jones Industrial Average at 26,000. 12,788. They're off by 40 points or so. Now, there was a little bit of lamentation this morning that brought these numbers down, and people concerned. And I got to tell you, there's something about perspective when it comes to dealing with the market. And the issue is McDonald's shares. This is one of the big anchors on the market today. McDonald's shares dropped 5% on earnings and revenue for the previous quarter, and that missed analyst expectations. There was a metric that they use for the franchise. It's the same-store sales, which is a big deal for them. Same-store sales at McDonald's actually up by 4.8%. But the market reacted negatively because it did not go up to the estimate of 5.1%. Everybody would say, well, it'll be at least 5.1% worth of an increase. But it was an increase of 4.8, but not enough for McDonald's and the investors. Can you imagine? Based on that, we're talking about 3%, 0.3% worth of a missed expectation. And a bunch of people that own McDonald's shares, which are normally pretty good, blue chippy, right? Yeah. All of a sudden say, well, that's it for us. Might as well let's get rid of our Disney stuff as well. I don't like money anymore. Like McDonald's is going to go away one of these days.
All manipulation.
And that's one of the reasons why the markets are moving backwards here. We'll take a look at some of the other markets. FTSE is up. The Nikkei is up at 22,548. With the increase in Japanese numbers and arrivals here on Guam, coupled with the fact that the spend is up, all of a sudden the Nikkei feels like it's a little bit more relevant these days. So Nikkei shares are up by 56.22 points. For those of you that have funds that are indexed to the Nikkei, it's a good day. Hang Seng Index also up by about 60 points, 26,786. You see the Shanghai at 29.54. That's in the green. So is the DAX at 12,754. They're up by about 6 points in that market. On the commodities, I'll look at oil today, $54 and about 28 cents for a barrel of West Texas crude. Yesterday was $53.61, an increase of about 67 cents for a barrel of West Texas crude. Still narrow trading range for Tampa, $65.24 has been the frozen rate for it over the last couple of days. It has been unstuck now, and the new rate for a barrel of Tappas crude is $65.03, or a 21-cent reduction in all of that. So at least Tappas seems to be moving in the right direction, but it's just kind of oscillating around $64, $65. We need it to go down to about, I don't know, 59, 55. That'd feel pretty good around these cool months that we have. What do we got? Beijing, in a breaking story on MSNBC, reportedly developing a plan to replace Hong Kong's leadership by March. Boy, you'd think that they'd want to do something about that right about now. Just letting that thing just run. It is. How many months has it been since we've been talking about protests in China?
Long time.
Yeah. Well, at least we haven't had a Tiananmen Square in China yet that we know of.
A lot of people aren't going to Hong Kong. I've heard people say, they want to go to Hong Kong and do this and do that.
I've been playing around with the idea. I told you my buddy Jim Bigley took that job over at IT/IP&E, working with Ricky Delgado out here on Guam, and I'm trying to get out to go and see him, because when I go to Hong Kong, I stay at his place. I want to be able to go and hang out with Jim and his family and not have to pay for a hotel room, which is cool. And I keep thinking about it, going, yeah, but that means I still got to go through the airport, still got to go through the city. We're gonna want to go to the Shakes and Shake Snack or whatever the name. What's the name of that restaurant? Shake Shack. I'm going to want to go to the Shake Shack in the Apple Store in Hong Kong, and I don't want to have to wade through the broken, mangled bodies of protesters.
Yeah, it's probably going to be okay. But the thing about it is, I remember years ago when I went there, and they were planning.
Used to be the biggest hassle in Hong Kong was the guys over at Sim Sha Tsui trying to sell you a suit.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you go there. But the idea was that you went, I remember the guys talking about the takeover was going to happen and what they thought could happen. And I remember people saying, they will never come in here and take over Hong Kong, because why would you kill the golden goose? I mean, it does. Hong Kong does nothing but make money.
Special economic zone. Yeah.
I mean, it just churns money, and that's their money, essentially. So why would they go in there and do that? And here we are 25 years later, and they're doing it.
Yeah. But we thought it was going to happen faster. I think is the way the former colonists view it. 7:22 in the morning. Jerry Roberts in the studio. A couple of other businessy things to tell you about. If you're looking for a job, it is Census 2020 Job Fair Day at the Agana Shopping Center. 10 o'clock this morning. Wear your nice Zoris and be prepared to fill out applications for a variety of positions: field officer, supervisor, office clerk, crew leader, assistant crew leader, and enumerators. There are some qualifications. Be prepared to show that you are at least 18 years of age, are a U.S. citizen, or otherwise eligible by treaty to work on Guam in the United States. Social security number, a high school diploma, or a GED. You must be able to pass an FBI background check. They will go back to sister in first grade and ask if you were a good kid. They're going to look at your permanent record here. You must also be able to pass a drug test, police, and court clearances.
Now, you know what's a good thing about this is that I haven't asked anybody in the federal system, but I would wager that if you get the job with the census, though it may be a part-time job or a temporary job for a while, I would bet that at some point in time, if in the future you decided that you wanted to work for the federal government,
again,
I bet that would give you like an in, because you could show it on the resume, you've gone through all the checks and all that. So if you want to be in the federal system at some point, this temporary job might be just your ticket to eventually finding a permanent job somewhere in that GS system.
I wonder what the record is. I mean, there were people obviously that did work in the Census 2010. Were they able to parlay that into something full time and permanent with the federal government?
Would have been nice to track that, but I would put the bet down that yes, you could. If you want to get a job in the federal system someday, this might be the easiest road in. Work with the census for a few months, and then take your chances.
Could be. There's another job fair going to be taking place this coming Saturday from 9 to 2 at Suite 212, Harmon Loop Road up in Dededo. This is the second floor of the Bank of Guam building, right across from the McDonald's in Harmon. All right, you know where the place is, right there at that intersection. It's Contract Watts, and they're looking for formwork carpenters, cement masons, and iron workers, guys that know how to work with steel. They're looking for guys like that because Contract Watts has got a bunch of contracts in town, and they need guys desperately. I think everybody does need guys to get all that stuff done. And in case you're curious if you can get a job with Cloverdale today, you can apply online at cloverdalefoods.com, or tomorrow. Is that right? Let me look at today's date. Tomorrow, there's no interviews today, but tomorrow over at the Western Resort Guam in the Unai Ballroom, tomorrow and the 25th, they will be taking applications at the Westin Resort Guam for those of you that are interested in getting a job at the meatpacking place at Cloverdale Farms. And I forget where Cloverdale Farms is again. Mike, do you recall?
North Dakota, if I'm
somewhere
not
in Forgotten Fork, North Dakota, and you will go out there and find all the other islanders that have made Cloverdale their home. But somebody told me that the big deal is in North Dakota, around where Cloverdale is there are guys that are going to to take the jobs over at Cloverdale and then end up in an oil farm somewhere.
That's the thing. I mean, that's why we keep seeing them coming back here, because we got great employees and people are really good workers when they go over there. But then they do go over there and they find better jobs. Or they get tired of the cold and come back.
I was going to say, wait a second. You mean it's going to be this cold all the time?
Yeah, 60 degrees below zero is that's not fun.
But you see, once you're there, though, if that particular state's a little cold, they got 47 more in the contiguous area you can drive.
Let's run down to Florida and see what's happening down there. I take my certification and go. There's an interesting application, and I'm going to ask Mana about this because she used to work over at GITA. Notice of a public hearing on an application to the Guam Economic Development Authority for a qualifying certificate authorizing the abatement and rebate of certain Guam taxes. But it doesn't say exactly who this is going to be going out to. Who is doing the application, and of course,
find out.
Conference soon. Qualifying certificate granting the applicant. Oh, there it is. It says it. Guam Brewing Corporation.
Oh,
the Guam Brewery guys are looking for a qualifying certificate, looking for abatements of certain taxes and rebates, et cetera, et cetera.
So I wonder what category they would fall under in
medicine. It's medicinal. it's
vitally needed industry.
Vitally needed industry, and we need to have a brewery.
That.
But I'm definitely supporting this because I've tried this stuff, and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, and when they have these public hearings, they do have to have a presentation where they demonstrate how many jobs are going to be created, how does it affect or improve the economy, and and how would this be beneficial?
Yeah, I'm happy with it so far. We know that
the number one thing is
just the tap house has hired people.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. And the number one thing that we look for, or they look for, in giving the qualifying certificates, is the creation of jobs. So.
And so they have, and there will be jobs in not just the brewing of the beer, but the marketing of the beer as well. Somebody's going to have to put it in a truck and take it off to someplace. Exactly. We need more of those kinds of things.
And increasing exports.
Ray, we should apply as taste testers.
Absolutely. I think I've already got that job, actually. The question is, if another brewery, if Jerry Roberts decided he wanted to get into the brewery business, could he then get a qualifying?
The case can be made.
That he would be, if they give it to Guam Brewery, then somebody else could get it.
And that's what happened with the insurance industry. When one applied and received the
qualifying certificates on captive insurance.
All of the local, it wasn't just captive, it was the regular insurance industry or companies. They all came out and say, well, if they're getting it, then I need to get it too. And that's how they were included.
Did they ever lift the embargo? Eddie Calvo instituted an embargo last year while you were still over at GITA. Did they ever lift that embargo on new qualifying certificates? I mean, it must be if they're entertaining this, right?
Yeah, and I think there is some new requirement where it has to go to the legislature also.
7:28 in the morning. Jerry Roberts been patiently waiting to do his extra point, so I think this time I might just go ahead and let him do it. Brought to you by Guam Insurance Services and the team over at First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes, Jerry.
So you're the leader, and you've just made a big mistake. I mean, this one is going to be painful. What do you do now? Today we'll talk about the steps to take if you want to do the right thing and maintain the confidence of your team. That's up next on The Extra Point.
When's the last time you looked at your homeowner's insurance?
An easily overlooked part of covering our home is what's inside of it. Over time, we buy things we don't want to lose, but don't update our contents coverage. The smart thing to do is get the answers and level up our insurance to make sure we're totally protected.
That's the Insurance Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today by calling Guahan Insurance Services at 475-1162 or visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center in Tamuning.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
This edition of The Extra Point is one of the more important in our series. It's all about trust, the ultimate currency in building teams. Without it, you will never achieve what you are capable of. It just won't happen. So let me just come out and say it. If you are caught lying to your team or trying to cover up a mistake that you've made, you are setting fire to your own house. As the saying goes, it can take years to build trust and seconds to tear it down. I've had leaders tell me they thought they had to be seen as powerful and always doing the right thing, or the team would lose confidence. I'm not buying into that. Mistakes are a part of life, and nobody likes to make them, yet everybody does, and that's not going to change. Most are small and rarely do lasting damage, but even the more serious errors don't have to ruin your reputation as a leader. If that's where you find yourself, here are some ideas on how to turn things around. Number one, admit the mistake immediately, making sure all affected parties know. The longer you wait, the worse a problem can get. Own it. Don't try to hide from the problem, and don't make excuses. Certainly, never try to shift the blame to somebody else. The sooner you acknowledge your error and accept the consequences, the more respect that you'll earn. Number two, limit the damage. While figuring out how to resolve the situation, make sure to protect the organization and individuals from further potential damage. Number three, apologize quickly and save relationships. If your mistake caused trouble for anybody, go to them and let them know you're sorry for any inconvenience caused. Offer help where possible. Again, that's about the relationships. 4, let the story not be about the mistake, but about what you did to recover from it. If you try to evade blame and you're found out, that will always be the big story people remember. On the other hand, if you take responsibility and then lead the effort to make things right, that's what people will look back on. And 5, use the experience to your advantage. These these become teaching moments for everybody else, as well as ongoing examples of how the organization handles mistakes. These situations play a critical role in leadership development because they teach us how to deal with issues that don't turn out the way we hope they would. Big mistakes, painful and sometimes expensive as they may be, offer the opportunity for advanced education. The ideal to strive for is when failure is seen as part of success. You don't have to celebrate errors, but make sure you learn from them. Apply what you learn and move on. That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. A man who's never made mistakes.
I thought I made one once, but I was wrong. So it didn't count. 7:32 in the morning. Yeah, that is Jerry Roberts, the extra point. And as he says, one of the important ones. Definitely find that, download it, live it in GuamTraining.com. You'll also be able to get information on the Learn to Lead. Live to lead. There's a lot of alliteration here in the title of this upcoming seminar that Jerry Roberts is going to have. You and your staff need to be in there. And a note from Lee Weber, who listens to the program. Hong Kong. The comments 25 years ago by European and the big U.S. thinkers did not consider the much longer-term Chinese historical thought and planning. This is a country that for a long time we understand, has a 50-year plan. Those of you that think you've got long range with your 5-year plan, got nothing on the Chinese. A 50-year plan. These guys don't think in terms of weeks and months and years. They think in terms of generations. And a generation ago in 1997, they took over the colony, took it back from the British, and we are seeing now perhaps some of the fruits of that 50-year thinking. What's it going to be like in Hong Kong in another 25 years? Sure. Good question. 7:33 in the morning, and thanks very much, Lee. I appreciate that particular thought. Lee, of course, a student of this blue ocean that we call home. Headlines? Yeah, let's do some of that. Headlines in this program brought to you at this hour by Auntie Lolita Kemet of Remax Diamond Realty for all your real estate needs. Give her a jingle, 688-6743. Again, 688-6743. Al Yanger and his team over at GPSI Guam also bring you the 7:30 heads brought to you by Al. Give him a ring at 477-3058 at GPSI, and they'll find ways that you can work with them, working with the federal government. Again, 477-3058. From, where is she from? Kenyatta Barragata with news now from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Mana Silva Tyron.
It is 7:34, and like you said, here's your headlines. The GOP is asking the governor and the legislature to hold off on action on the locally introduced war claims bill, concerned that it will hinder action on a House bill that seeks Section 30 funding for war claims. Guam Republican Party National Committee man says that there's been support for H.R. 1365, and the president, Donald Trump, has already said he wants to sign it into law. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero says she's on the same page, and she and the legislature have been looking at December for action on Bill 181. That's a local bill that will fund war claims. Investigators have identified persons of interest in their investigation into the murder of the Yap Attorney General. Rachel Bergeron was gunned down outside of her home last week, and while they haven't released the names of the suspects, officials say they are making headway in that investigation. Bergeron was an American national working in Yap. Residents of Totu Kenyatta Road will face a period without water this morning as GWA has announced an emergency water outage in that area. A main water line that was damaged last week is damaged yet again. GWA has not said when that water outage will take place, but will provide updates throughout the morning. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. I'm Mana Silva Tyron.
Well, thanks very much, Mana Silva Tyron. A couple of other interesting things to tell you about. If you are looking for a job, are you self-motivated, energetic, outgoing? iConnect is looking for the right people to be part of their corporate sales team. Got sales experience, excellent communication skills. Can you work with a team? Can you be a part of a winning team? We encourage you to apply. Send your resume to hr@iconnectguam.com or visit iConnect's main office or the Micronesia Mall to grab your application. iConnect is an equal opportunity employer.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA, 8A, and Hub Zone certified SDVOSB, providing program/project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. Find out more about GPSI and how they can help you today. For large prime companies, contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 477-3058. They'll be happy to assist. Lolita Cammett from RE/MAX Diamond Realty. A friendly, hardworking, and passionate RE/MAX professional is committed to helping you make a difference in your life and to helping you achieve the American dream of home ownership. She also specializes in commercial leasing, land sales, local residential sales leasing, and military and corporate relocation. So for all your real estate needs, call Lolita Cammett from RE/MAX Diamond Realty at 688-6743. That's 688-6743.
Ask the Wyatt caller, Auntie Loli, at 7:37 in the morning. And time to take a look at the traffic gizmo. Let you know what's happening on Guam's roadways. If you're making your way from the north to central Daididu right now, expect some delays getting past Y Sang Song. Expect some delays getting off Y Sang Song onto Marine Corps Drive. Once you get past that light, you still got to have to deal with some traffic between there and Harmon Loop Road. Also got traffic coming off of Route 3 onto Marine Corps Drive. In both directions, you'll see delays at that particular intersection. Once you move a little bit further south towards the Micronesia Mall, expect some delays over at the Jollibee intersection. And then if you're following Route 16 up towards Central, then expect some delays over at the McDonald's intersection as well. 8, 10, and 16 running fairly clear this morning. Looks like we've got some delays over by the entrance to the guard complex, and then you've got to make your way towards the intersection. Maybe some slowing down as you make your way past the Happy Mart intersection, and then it will clear up after we make your commute through the intersection, that one good intersection at Teagan. Because we can't figure out how to open up another hole into Teagan. How is it? The brain's the size of a planet, and we can't get that done. Over at the Mighty McMobile intersection, expect some delays in both directions. That is going to continue until you get past the intersection in front of Cars Plus. Route 4 running mostly clear this morning until you get up around the Talampago Ordot area, and then into town is going to be the usual headache with the construction that's taking place on Route 4. Nothing major in front of Navy Hospital or Guam High, and you can't expect delays in both directions if you're trying to get in or out of Big Navy and Sumai. Wow, that's a lot. 7:38, that's right now traffic here on The Point. Konnichiwa! We'll be celebrating the 40th Japan Autumn Festival on Saturday, November 16th from 2 until 9 at the Governor Joseph Flores Beach Park. That's Ipao Beach Park. Parking will be available across Oka Payless with free shuttle service every 15 minutes starting at 1:30. Advance tickets available now at the Japan Club of Guam office located on the first floor of Pia Marine during business hours. The Japan Autumn Festival at Ipao Beach Park, November 16th from 2 to 9. Come join us. For information, call 646-8066. This message made possible by Choice Broadcasting. Konnichiwa! It is one of my favorite events every year is the Autumn Festival. You cannot have any more fun than that for, just a handful of chits. I'm saying that carefully because that's the way it works. You don't use money there. You go to a couple of cash stands, and they will exchange your money for coupons. You use the coupons to buy yourself all kinds of Japanese foods. And one of my favorite things is I want to say it's Tokyo Mart, and they buy up a few extra pounds of tangerines, Japanese tangerines, and that's one of the first places on Guam. What's such a great flavor of the holidays is these tangerines. You have that with nuts. And oh my God, I'm all of a sudden in my grandmother's living room in 1972. But think about that as we get closer and closer to that particular event. Shannon Bentley is online. I see Didi Crisostomo, Joni and Ken Borja. General Marcus Reynolds, he's not really a general, but I call him that because he's one of my favorite Marines out there. Marcus is there saying, good morning, Ray. Good morning, Guam. Joe Leasealungi is in town. I see Ike Iseki saying, our leadership yesterday and today are the true cause of our problems. The longer we delay, new laws fall in place with no decision to assumptions that just more tax expenses from the people of Guam. Wake up, decision makers. Thanks, Ike. Joey Charfris is there. Jim Moylan is saying about the same thing in a recent Facebook post I might be able to find it for you in just a second. Joey Chafris is there, Ramona Nakamura, Galo Perez, Jim Smith saying these days your permanent record is actually just your Twitter feed, and in my case it's Twitter, Facebook, and a few questionable Instagram posts. Jennifer Louise Dula is online. I see the real Joe Cruz, Roy Gamboa, that's the Commissioner Roy Gamboa. Jim Bonanno saying, that's right, give away more of the tax base, more qualifying certificates. Jim and I have had some very interesting conversations about qualifying certificates, but the problem is we usually have them over a couple of rounds of beer, and we never actually get around to remembering to write down the solution and telling anybody. But thanks for the reminder there, buddy. Smug's online. Who else is hanging out? Director Cho, who I think is going to be taking one of the ideas that we had yesterday and seeing if there are ways the Department of Labor can help out. I was telling you a few minutes ago about the job fair that's going to be taking place for the census, and one of the things that they're going to be looking for is your court clearances, police clearances, and things like that. And those are getting expensive for some people. And as I said, I've got a couple of applications on my desk that I'd like to move forward with, but cannot because of the nature of the work requirements in this corporation. We require all of our employees to have at least court and police clearances.
Well, at least you require it post-hiring. Some establishments actually ask you to present that with your resume. Mm-hmm. So you're expending that cost without certainty that
you're going to get a job. And so I'm wondering if there are ways.
You're right, it is costly.
I think there got to be some ways that the Department of Labor can get in front of that. The legislature might be able to get in front of that and find ways to make it easier for people to go out there and get jobs. And you remarked a second ago that there are a lot of jobs out there. We got Contractor Watts is hiring, Cloverdale is hiring, we got the census people that are hiring, any number of businesses that are looking for labor. iConnect is hiring for salespeople, and so with all of these folks that are looking for jobs, let's find a way to make it as easy as possible for them to get the employment in there. James Howard talking about in China, the headspace, in Chinese headspace, they are the one and only superpower. There's a saying that we have in this business, and I'm fond of using it. My fair market share is 100%. They say, well, what's your fair share of the market? You know, you get some businesses that happen, well, I'm happy to split the market with so-and-so, my competitor such and such. I'm not. I believe that my fair market share is 100%, and the Chinese look at things the same way. My buddy Robinson Reimers is online this morning. Robinson, when are you coming back? I think he's listening down in Palau or someplace like that. Robinson, you need to come back. Rob, I'll tell you. No, I'm not. I'm not going to say it.
If he's in Palau, can you bring a cooler of stuffed crab?
Please, and really big parrotfish, because the ones that we get around here are small for whatever reason. But the other thing, and I hesitate to say it, is he's my cabinet and tile guy. So, I've
met Robinson.
You've met Robinson,
yeah.
Right? Robinson, real nice guy. He's the guy that I go to, and he's not around here, for heaven's sakes. And I've got some cabinet and tile work that I need to get done. Anyway, 7:44 in the morning, 888-8255, 888-TALK. I was a little bit distressed the other day because there was a story floating around, and Senator Tilena Nelson getting together with Dr. Rebecca Perez, the principal over at Algona Johnson Middle School, who reported that they're seeing more cases of middle school students there running around getting caught with marijuana. And Tilena says, well, I just lays the problem at the feet of the governor. It says, this is all your fault. You foisted this on all of us. To the degree that the governor, all she did was sign off on a document that came out of the legislature, 8-7 vote at the legislature, acting on that. I don't know that I'd particularly blame her for it. And in fact, I'm not trying to lay blame. I'm trying to see if we can get more facts on this. I'm sure that the author of the marijuana legislation, Senator Clint Rigel, probably looked at that and said, wait a second, why are we fear-mongering on marijuana? Good morning, Clint.
Hi, good morning, Ray.
How you doing there? I haven't seen you in a while. What you been up to?
Much better. I'm just recovering from a cold right now, so I feel much better.
All right. Well, I can hear it in the sound of your voice, and so I'm just kind of curious. There seems to be that story. There's another one talking about a guy that allegedly took the police on a high-speed chase and they smelled marijuana. So I think they're going to lay the blame on that particular heist on marijuana. Are you paying attention to all this stuff?
Yeah, I've been seeing that. So with that high-speed chase, I'd like to know if there was any other substances that he was under the influence of.
Right.
In addition to that, I heard, and I'm not sure, but there's a possibility that particular individual may have had some other issues as well, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Being high on marijuana might not have been it, and it is also possible, unless somebody's done some kind of test, that there might have been some CBD in the car. CBD in certain forms has a very, very strong marijuana odor attached to it. There is a cannabis odor that you can get with some of those products, and it's possible that that's what they were smelling.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Maybe he was smudging the car. Maybe the guy smudged the car and
with his sage and marijuana.
Yeah, sage smudging of the car to get rid of the spirits. Maybe Sister Montesilva Tyron in the
But
studio
you know, the
along
same
with me.
thing could be said about alcohol use. You know, it's not like you can get drunk and then get behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm not so sure about that. Have you done any follow-ups with anybody else in the middle school system or the Department of Education to see if there are any numbers to back up this concern that marijuana is now, has found its way into the middle schools like it was never there before?
Yeah. No, I haven't. Like I said, I've been out sick for the past couple of days, so that's something I'm going to look into. I'd like to know the numbers. I mean, that's one middle school that was talking about. I believe that was Augutta Johnson. Mm-hmm. And I do know a parent at Augutta who was saying her kid goes there and he didn't notice anything different. And he said that there was even some talk about, we have to do these, searches I forgot what the exact quote was, but something about they're regularly conducting searches and sort of like shakedowns in the school. And
well, if you're doing more of that, you're going to find more stuff.
Well, the parent I know says that her son doesn't even recall any of those. So I'm not sure what exactly they're talking about, because the parent I know asked her son, hey, is this really going on? The son said, I don't remember any searches, and I don't remember any big hoopla over kids getting busted. So yeah. I'd like to see what the actual numbers are. And, before then, there's not really much. I mean, I'd like to compare the numbers to the prior year and then see what the real situation is.
I got you. Well, you keep looking into that, and we'll talk and we'll compare notes when we get a chance.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. You working on anything over at the legislature today? I know they're going into the Committee on Rules to take up a discussion on every bill except anything by Jimmy Moylan at the Committee on Rules. Are you expecting any of your measures to come out onto the floor soon?
No, I was hoping the back billing bill, but it's not in my committee. The back billing ban bill was in Senator Sabina's committee, so that hasn't been reported out yet. So I'm waiting on that to get reported out before I can move it. But there is a bill that I reported out that's actually Senator Amanda Shelton's bill that I'm a co-sponsor of, and that's the bill for renewable energy to require that GPA. Senator Shelton introduced the bill requiring that GPA get to 50% renewables by 2035. But after testimony was received in the public hearing, I reported out the bill and I amended the bill in committee and reported out to add another layer there to make it 2045, 100% renewables by 2045, as well as some other requirements in there that would require GPA to look and use a distributed generation model, which basically means putting solar panels on rooftops.
Yeah. Oh, I know I've had the conversation with those guys. I kind of like the idea of distributed generation and that kind of thing, because it gives the options. I think it lays out more options for people like me and you that have roofs that would like to be able to contribute one way or the other. 10 away from the top of the hour. I gotta jump. Do me a favor while you're at the legislature. Could you just ask a couple of people what's going on with Bill 47-35? I'll remind you what that is. That is the one that expands the Castle Doctrine. It's basically the stand your ground measure introduced by Joe S. St. Augustine. And I'm curious. I mean, this thing was introduced back in February, and it has not even had a public hearing yet. So I'm wondering what the holdup is.
Yeah, I'll look into. Do you know whose committee it's in?
Where were the Health, Tourism, Historic Preservation, Land, and Justice?
Okay, Senator Terlahi's committee, I think, right?
Yeah. Well, let's figure that one out, because there's a lot of people that are very, very interested in that, because there's a crime wave going on, and there's a bunch of nut jobs out there. All right, I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, Senator Clint Rigel, and a note from our, James Howard this morning, who says, if the high-speed chase didn't end up at Winchell's, it wasn't marijuana. God bless your soul. Mel Mendiola's on the line from Gita. Good morning, Mel. How you doing?
Buenos Ray. How are you doing?
Buenos de Nafade. Can I say welcome back? Have you been and gone anywhere recently?
No, not really. I went to, well, not since the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
I was off, the last time we spoke, I was in Monterey for that base realignment conference, and then we did the ratings meetings with the S&P and Moody's for the Guam Airport Authority bond.
Yeah, we got some decent traction on that. Stable in the very least, with a decent outlook.
Yes, very good, very good.
Yeah.
We're happy that they've maintained our ratings, and we're, as always, we continue to we'd like to work towards an eventual upgrade, but that's you kind of have to move everybody at the same time. It's got to be Guam's underlying credit rating in addition to everyone else's.
I recall that being the case with the airport and the port last year when there were concerns with the Trump tax cuts and everybody started freaking out, and all of a sudden the ratings agencies, even with our autonomous agencies, were tying in the woes of the government of Guam and the General Treasury with the autonomous agencies, and I think both of them took a little bit of a hit. But nice to see a certain kind of recovery. What are we trying to do with the Guam International Airport? Is that a refi or is that a new loan?
A refi, and so what they're doing is they're able to get a lower rating, and so as long as when you're able to achieve about a 2% savings or 2% interest rate type of savings, or a savings at least a 2% interest rate type of savings over the long term, you're able to refi. You're off. It's advisable to go in for a refi.
Well, I do that with the house.
And, so what? I'm sorry?
I said I do that with the house. If the rates go down sufficiently, and I can get a decent appraisal, and if I can get the closing costs down, then all of a sudden a refinance on say a house loan begins to look really sexy. Same thing over at the airport.
Right, exactly. And then what they're doing is they're issuing a refunding and restructuring. It's estimated to be right around the $40 million mark, and with the reduction in debt service, what they're looking to do is leverage some of that money towards applying for more FAA grants. So similar to how the Port Authority used the bond for leverage in the Tiger grant.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of approaching it with a similar strategy.
Well, they're going to need to do that if they want to build that into the spaceport that Virgin is talking about. Did that factor into the Moody's and S&P ratings that we're nudge with Richard Branson?
I don't think it did. I will say that I've been to two.
I would have dropped that name. I would have dropped that name totally.
We did. You brought that up, and they were like, "Well, that's interesting."
Oh yeah. We know him too.
They're very serious people. They are not swayed by anything sexy.
I got you. Now, speaking of sexy, and I guess the answer is it must have been because we're doing it. I'm looking at a notice that went out, signed by you and the Guam Economic Development Authority, public hearing for a qualifying certificate for the Guam Brewery Corporation. And so I was under the impression that there was the embargo in the last administration was still a thing, and that we weren't issuing new qualifying certificates.
There continues to be a moratorium, I believe, on renewals, and new qualifying certificates need to go to the legislature. That is the current. I think that's the current state that we're looking at. But we're seeking clarification from the Attorney General on that right now.
Is that not something that the governor can issue an executive order? Is that actual statute that says that the new qualifying certificates have to be approved or need the consent of the legislature?
It is the law currently. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, so in this case,
having said that, we don't want it to squelch new investment opportunity into our island, and so we haven't exactly we're not raining qualifying certificates right now. It's our qualifying certificate applications right now, and so we were pretty we've been following this process along. We've been following up with the Attorney General's office to kind of get their position on it, get their clarification on it. And the Guam Brewery probably the first QC application I've seen actually come through in my tenure. I've seen there have been a few indications of interest in applying, but no applications that have been have gone through the process, and we're at that stage right now for the public hearing.
Well, I'm very interested in this because I'm a consumer of the product, and I'm with them. I think it's a great idea that Guam has a national beer, something that is brewed here locally, and will be available in all kinds of different retail scenarios, and I think it will meet the requirement of bringing some jobs to Guam. Whether it's going to will be worth the abatement of 75% of corporate taxes and 100% of the BPT, I don't know about that, but that's why we have public hearings on things like this. Mana was asking about the qualifying certificates are granted generally based on business categories that they fall in, or needs of the economic needs of the community that they might fulfill. Which one did these guys check off on the application?
I believe this was a general service type of. It could have been. Wondering. Let me see.
So it wasn't healthcare.
I have the app in front of me.
Well, we agreed, Mel, that it's vitally needed service.
Vitally needed service.
We approve it over here, by the way.
We approve.
So you, if you find out, do me a favor and get back to me when you get a chance.
Sure.
All right.
I mean, I think one of the things when we were looking at the Guam Brewery application, I think there's this idea of the purpose of the qualifying certificates, of course, is to stimulate new industry. Creation of jobs is of course the priority, but it's also opening Guam up to it's the governor is very, very interested in diversifying our industry, and even going to the kind of tying it back to the ratings meetings. The ratings reports always say concentration in our economy is not a positive thing. It's a negative. It's a credit negative. And so when we see businesses come through that assist in diversifying our industry, and I do think Guam Brewery to some extent is for tourists, there's that novelty aspect of microbrews, but then there's also and visitors, that sort of aspect of it. But then there's also just the sort of diversification of industry.
Well, if they're going to be selling it at the gas stations, if they're putting this in the foodies and they're going to be selling it over at the Payless places and things like that, then we can say that it is the idea that tourists are going to be drinking it. I think they're going to end up being a niche market. I think the general population of the island are going to find that as long as it's available and as long as the prices are reasonable, i.e. because we're not paying an exorbitant BPT on it, then maybe it could be something that does fulfill some kind of an economic need around here. Hey, you know what? I gotta go. I gotta run.
All right.
All right. Are you busy today?
In the morning, I am busy until about 1 o'clock, and then it kind of drops off.
Okay. And so what are you busy on?
Stay with you, Ray.
Yeah, I know you can just hang out at the radio station with me. But what are you working on? Anything like newsworthy? Because me and Mon are trying to figure out what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Let me see. We're launching our community contribution. We're doing our announcement probably in the next week or so, and this is the grant program. So we'll be doing that. We'll be working a little bit on. We continue to do work with the qualifying certificates. We continue to do work. We're trying to expand our borrowing, our lending capabilities. To do a little bit more in the community as far as loaning out money.
Or helping people get loans. I mean, I'm disclosure. I'm a beneficiary of that program over at Gita. So if you're in business and are going, wow, all the banks have told me to get lost, you might be one of those cases where Gita says, well, we might be able to help you get a loan. We might even be able to get you some money. Don't disqualify yourself. Let Mel do that. Give her a ring over at Gita. I'm going to run and talk to you later. Smack Eddie and Ricky on the head for me. All right.
Will do.
Thanks. Appreciate it. 888-825-5888-TALK is the telephone number around here. Would you look at the time? It's 8 o'clock. Coming up in the next hour of the program, we spend some time on the news from the Fox Network, and then Mona Silva Tyron is going to be telling the stories from the Guam Daily Post, and then we're going to pretend to talk about sports with Renee Logie. It's World Series time. That's coming up here on The Point.
Another witness business behind closed doors. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The acting ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor, before the three House committees conducting the impeachment inquiry into President Trump, giving his account of what happened between the president and Ukraine President Zelensky.
The Washington Post is reporting that Taylor told lawmakers that the EU ambassador, Gordon Sondland, told him that President Trump wanted Ukraine to publicly announce an investigation into the Ukrainian energy company Burisma and also Ukrainian interference in the 2016 election before handing off military aid to the country. But sources tell Fox News that Taylor admitted he had no firsthand knowledge or evidence that Ukraine officials knew that military aid had been suspended at the time of the July 25th phone call between President Trump and Zelensky.
Fox's Hillary Vaughn at the Capitol. Fox News has learned Taylor testified about a back channel to foreign policy led by the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. New charges for parents embroiled in the college admissions cheating scandal. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Well, Lisa, 11 parents now face conspiracy to commit federal program bribery. That means they made side payments to university officials to get their children into top colleges. Among those hit by those new charges, actress Lori Loughlin and her husband, designer Massimo Giannulli. They are accused of paying hundreds of thousands to buy their daughters into USC. They and other parents have pleaded not guilty to mail and wire fraud. The new charges carry 5 years in prison. U.S. Attorney Andrew Lelling says this further shows how these parents corrupted the college admissions process. Lisa.
Gernal, Wall Street at the close. Stocks closing mostly lower on Wall Street after a day of wobbling back and forth as investors looked over some mixed news on corporate earnings. The Dow fell 39, the Nasdaq lost 58, the S&P off 10 points. America is listening. Fox News.
Did you know that home loan rates have plunged again? Would you like to take advantage of these lower rates to help lower your monthly payments? Refinancing doesn't have to be for another 30 years. It can be for 10, 15, or 20 years. It's up to you. Reduce your monthly payments. Pay off your loan earlier. At Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender. Credit conditions apply.
Want to grow your business? Start a new venture? Or stay ahead of the competition? You can. With Docomo Pacific Smart Business Solutions tailored to your specific needs and ambitions, you can do it all. Partner with a network with best-in-class network coverage, state-of-the-art communication platforms, and a team dedicated to providing you with premium support. Call 688-2677 to start your journey to success today. Docomo Pacific Business, delivering your future today.
Police in Santa Rosa, California, say an argument between two students led to a shooting outside a high school with a 17-year-old student firing a handgun, wounding a 16-year-old before returning to class.
There was no evidence to suggest that there was plans for any further acts of violence. This appeared to be an impromptu incident that followed a verbal altercation fronting the school.
Santa Rosa Police Captain John Cregan. A federal appeals court has upheld the government's no-fly list and how people get on it.
4 men represented by the ACLU challenged their inclusions on the TSA's no-fly list, but the Ninth Circuit Court sided with the government against them. The men had argued that the reasons listed for their inclusions were too vague, but the Ninth Circuit said that was not true. 4 years ago, this appeals court said, without revealing classified information, the TSA did need to provide some information as to why someone made it on the list. In this case, the feds wrote that they had concerns about one man's travels to Yemen. In another case, they said the man admitted he'd received weapons training in Somalia back in 2007. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Not so fast. In a blow to Prime Minister Boris Johnson, another delay for Brexit.
Parliament voting narrowly in favor of his plan for Britain to exit the European Union, or Brexit, but then coming back and voting against his rushed timeline to get the overall bill with all of its details approved. Johnson wanted it done in 3 days to meet the October 31st deadline for Brexit the government had been shooting for.
Fox's Greg Palcon in London. European Council President Donald Tusk saying he would recommend that the other 27 member states of the EU approve a delay of Britain's scheduled departure date of October 31st. Verizon trying to take a swipe at Netflix, offering new and current customers a free year of Disney's new streaming service. The promotion would potentially give millions of people free access to the service, which would include films from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and others. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the all-new Pit Smoked Brisket. How would you like it?
I'll take a man who knows what's what.
Y'all know what? The all-new Pit Smoked Brisket at Subway is smoked slower than a slug going up a down escalator, that's what. I'm talking tender, juicy brisket, naturally pit smoked for at least 13 hours. What's more, it's got layer after layer of smoky flavor. Smoked cheddar and barbecue sauce on delicious Italian bread. Subway, make it what y'all want, what not. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Want 10% off your next flight to the U.S.? Now through October 31, receive 10% off select United Airlines flights to the U.S. when you purchase your ticket with your United credit card or United Mileage Plus credit card from First Hawaiian Bank. Use promo code FHB019 when booking your flight. With a travel sale like this, you could wake up to a different sunrise in any part of the U.S. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 19 to learn more. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Day and good morning. It's 8:06. I'm Ana Silva Tyron with some of your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Chamorro Land Trust Commission will be holding town hall meetings over the next couple of months as they seek to obtain constituent input on issues related to CLTC land. Some of the issues include access on CLTC property, surveying difficulties in lending, and home construction challenges. The first session will take place on October 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Sagan Bisita in Agate. It will be open to constituents living in Agate, Inarajan, Maritzo, Pidi, Santa Rita, Talofofo, Umatic, and Zotnia. Constituents unable to attend the sessions can submit their comments or questions to the CLTC office at the ITC building. The government of Guam plans on filing an appeal in the plebiscite lawsuit, but the Attorney General, Levin Camacho, is now advising there are some risks associated with filing the appeal. In July, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled Guam's plebiscite law violates American citizens' constitutional right to vote. With the appellate court decision in mind, Guam's Attorney General stated he has fully briefed the governor of these risks involved with appealing the plebiscite case and understands that several factors were considered before a determination was made to appeal. Guam's risks include continuing to accrue legal fees and costs. As reported, the governor has tapped Attorney Mike Phillips and Senator Therese Terlahi to take the lead in the appeal. Elsewhere in the news, Governor Luli Ongaro says she supports it, but now the Republican Party is asking that any legislative action on Bill 181 be put off. Bill 181 is the locally introduced war claims bill. The bill would allow for the use of $7.5 million to pay out some war claims to recipients here. But the GOP says action on that bill could hinder the timely passage of H.R. 1365, which would allow for the use of up to $40 million in Section 30 funding to be used to pay war claims. Guam Republican Party National Committeeman Juan Carlos Benitez asked that action be held off at least until November. Benitez says the communication that he's had with the Senate Judiciary Committee on October 18th has indicated that there has been no opposition to the passage of H.R. 1365. In response to Tuesday's request from the GOP, Governor Leon Guerrero said that she discussed the December passage of Bill 181 with the Speaker of the Legislature and the Minority Leader. The governor says they are and continue to be on the same page. She says, we continue to support the passage of H.R. 1365 because it's about paying out our greatest generation what they're owed before it's too late. The Guam GOP has also called the governor, congressmen, and majority and minority leaders of the 35th Guam legislature to a bipartisan summit to discuss how Guam can present a unified front to secure the passage of H.R. 1365 and get it in the hands of the president, who has already said he wants to sign it into law. We'll have more local news right after this.
Wow, nice smile. So perfect and all.
Thanks. I owe it all to Dr. Robert Yang and his smile team. They do wonders for a healthy, happy mouth.
Got teeth? Don't wait until they hurt. Schedule your routine checkup and cleaning with Dr. Yang and his smile team. Suite 119 in the East West Business Center, Upper Tumon. Call 647-8702 or 3.
The best thing that happened to teeth since toothpaste.
Dr. Yang and his smile team.
They make smiles happen.
Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro brings you island hospitality with a true taste of modern Chamorro cuisine. A bistro look that feels like home. Their menu features local and traditional flavors with a twist. From their famous Calaguan Hafa to fresh ahi poke salad and their award-winning barbecue ribs. Mescla takes your favorite local dishes and serves them with extra flair that you'll only find at Mescla Chamorro Fusion Bistro. Stop by their newest location in the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. For reservations, call 969-2652. Mescla, a true taste of Guam.
The Guam Census Office is recruiting and hiring hundreds of workers needed to conduct the data collection activities for the 2020 census. Teams from the local census office and the Bureau of Stats and Plans will set up in the center court of the Agana Shopping Center from 10 this morning until 3 this afternoon to provide job applications and conduct on-site interviews in the first of a series of job fairs. The office will be looking to fill a number of temporary, part-time, and full-time positions to include field operations supervisors, office clerks, crew leaders, and enumerators. Again, that job fair will be from 10 this morning until 3 this afternoon at the Agana Shopping Center. And the goal is to end the solid waste receivership by January 31st of next year, bringing an end to the 17-year-old lawsuit. At the district court this week, the judge ordered the U.S. EPA, the government of Guam, and solid waste authorities all to continue working and cooperating with the receiver, Gershman, Brickner, and Bratton, to ensure the timely review and approval of work associated with the post-closure of the ORDOT dump. The receiver earlier this month had recommended dissolving the receivership by December 31st, but there still work needs to be done. The U.S. EPA thought that the time frame was overly optimistic, as a plan first needs to be established for the post-closure of the dump before Guam's solid waste operations are completely turned over to the government of Guam. Control of the day-to-day operations of the Solid Waste Authority has been turned over, but the court has maintained the partial receivership for technical work associated with the post-closure of the dump. And those are your top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Here now is Ray with your weather.
Man, a life in a world without Gershman, Brickner, and Bratton. You remember when those guys first came to town? And just all the...
all the hoopla over the money they were making over...
People freaking out. My favorite was, because I like talking to Dave Manning. Dave Manning was the late Dave Manning now.
Except he charges $100. Charged $100.
Yeah, so we're doing the interviews with the guy, and they turn in their first quarterly report with the billing statement that says, okay, well, this is what we're charging for. And then he said, interview with Ray Gibson on the radio station. I'm going, wait a second, you charged for that? He says, yeah, we did.
It was working.
And then everybody from, Felix Camacho on to Eddie Calvo and all of those people said, well, this receivership is costing us a whole bunch of money we don't need to pay. And then so we finally took it. And now we have the Guam Solid Waste Authority that is in charge of the solid waste system.
Right.
But because Dave Manning and GBB isn't charging like they used to before, how come the prices haven't gone down? We should be paying less for our solid waste transferring from our house to the dump, because there's not the GBB anymore.
I agree with you totally.
All right, well, that's a good thing. Partly cloudy skies, isolated showers in the forecast today. Southeast winds about 10 miles an hour, shifting to the northeast this evening. Highs around 89 degrees. Overnight lows are going to be 78 degrees. And if you're looking for some place to enjoy the sunset at 5:57, there is no better place to enjoy the sunset than over at the Outrigger Hotel. Pretty much anywhere in the Outrigger Hotel is a good place to go watch. You know what? A room. Get a room instead of just hanging out at the bar. Go and get a room and drink everything in a little mini refrigerator and look at the sunset from there. What do you think, Renee?
I think so.
Let's do that.
If you're not sure what the sunset looks like from a room, check out some of our pictures on Instagram.
Right now, do you have any rooms there? Because with the hospitality, we had what's her name from GVB on yesterday. What's her name? The boss of GVB was on yesterday talking about 1.6 million tourists come to Guam last year, and they all stayed at the Outrigger, right?
We are rarely under 90% right now.
Rarely under
Yeah.
90%.
And because we are getting quite a few groups coming in right now.
And there was, with the military, you're staying at the outrigger in fairly large numbers, along with the Japanese and
Usually when
Koreans
there's
that
a
you
boat
get there.
in or during the exercises, things like
I
that.
get a lot of those folks in here. 888-825-5888-TALK. 814, that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Life happens. You need to go to work. The kids need to go to school. There are family events, friend events, any event. And everyone needs to communicate. When you need mobile services that you know you can rely on, choose GTA. As the winner of Ookla's 2019 award for Best Mobile Coverage on Guam, you can rely on us to offer you better plans to modernize your life, fit your needs, and keep you connected. So visit us today and let us help you connect. GTA, we start with you.
I appreciate that. 8:15 in the morning. Oh, is guys over at GTA in the building the other day talking about the cool Google Wi-Fi boxes that they have. Looks like a tablet. It looks like a big pill, and it will change your life in terms of being able to get Wi-Fi to every gizmo and device that you've got in the house that needs it. Portions of the program brought to you by American Medical Center, accepting most insurance, including Aetna, and they also want some new patients, too. Give them a ring if you're interested in the services that they can provide. 647-8262. That's 647-8262. Program is also brought to you by Wendy's, where they have asked the Queen of Spice, and she has delivered. Wendy's Spicy Smackdown is here. They got spicy nuggets with a sriracha dipping sauce, bacon jalapeno cheeseburger, and chicken sandwiches, bacon jalapeno pepper fries, and melty cheese, and spicy buffalo wings as well. The heat is definitely on at Wendy's. Now, that's better. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Lines, APL Global Presence, and a local home, and the team over at Take Care, offering proven wellness and fitness programs, encouraging you to live a healthy, balanced lifestyle, preventative care, being active, eating right, relaxing, unwinding, and being socially connected. That's what they're all about at Take Care.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
Is he going to talk some more? I can talk now, right? Okay, got it. 888-8255. That's where we get Tyrone Titano from Stats and Plans online with us this morning. Going to be a busy day for you guys and the what's her name, Tarina, and everybody over at over at the Census 2020, right?
Yes, the 2020 Census of Guam. Thanks for taking my call, Ray. Well, today is the first of the several job fairs that are going to be held to promote and hopefully recruit people to fill some of the hundreds of positions that are opening up on the 2020 Census of Guam. In particular, there are several hundred positions opening up for the field staff to go out and collect the survey sheets, and they pay out rather well, including and crew leaders are paying at $19.36 an hour. The assistant crew leader and the enumerators both get paid $18.64 an hour. And so we're looking for people who are interested in helping out early next year with the census operation. The qualifications are fairly basic. And, oh, by the way, the job fair is at the Ganya Shopping Center today from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
I got you. We've been talking about that all morning long and reminding people that a couple of the qualifications might be a little bit tricky for you. You need an FBI clearance. You got to be able to pass a drug test, things like that. But all of the other stuff should not be a major problem, I think, for the bulk of the people that are going to be applying for the positions.
The different one is the federal background check. But remember now, if you apply for any GovGuam position, you have to go get a drug test, and you have to get the police and court clearances anyway.
Yeah.
And as well as getting a Social Security number, you have to also be 18 years of old. And qualify for this one, you have to be a U.S. citizen or eligible to work on Guam. So that will cover FAS migrants as well.
Exactly.
Beyond that, there's as in any GovGuam job, there is also an interview process, and there will be a written exam as well. But these things are kind of baseline qualifications here, and I think most people should be able to qualify for them, unless, of course, they've had something in their background. But we're doing an aggressive effort to go out and recruit these people. Already the census office staff has been out in some of the night markets last week at Chamorro Village, the Menino Night Market, and the Agate Flea Market, and on early Saturday they were at the Dedado Flea Market, and early in the morning. So we're pushing very hard to promote what the job opportunities are out there for the 2020 Census of Guam and get a head start on on recruiting the hundreds of people that we'll need to pull off a successful 2020 census of
Well,
Guam.
you know, I'd be interested in it, but I don't know that you've got a position that I'd be interested in pursuing. It's the one that you know, 6-figure salary, a lot of travel, and no expectations of any kind of results. Do you have any of those positions available?
Well, if we did, I would have applied for it.
You're the man. You're the man, Tyrone. Hey, listen, I appreciate the time. I'll talk to you pretty soon, and we'll keep pushing people towards the Agana Shopping Center between 10 and 3 today.
Thanks for the chance to the update, Ray. Have a nice morning.
Anytime, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. 888-8255. It's 8:19 in the morning, and time to pretend to talk about sports. And we've actually got some legitimate sports stuff to talk about. Now, my producer is being producery and is giving me instructions on which way to go. Do Week 7 Pick'em review and winner, and then on to the World Series. So who's the winner from Week 7?
We got Japali 01, who is the winner of the Week 7 Pick'ems. 12 points in a tiebreaker with Fantasy Island. Welcome to Fantasy Island. And a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah.
So 12 points, all those guys tied up, but Japali gets it on the tiebreaker. So whoever Japali 01 is, I will be sending you an email based on the email you gave us with the sign-in with Yahoo. But if you already know who you are, then you can give us a call already and tell us.
Yeah, and we got great weekly prizes for you. At the end of all of this, we'll find out whoever is at the top of the food chain, according to the Pick'ems, whoever is in number 1 at before we get into the Super Bowl, I think, right? After the regular season? Is that when this ends?
This ends with the regular season.
Okay, so when the regular season ends, we'll find out who's at the top of the food chain, and we've got a great prize for you from the team over at GTA. You get to decide what it is that you're going to win, whether it's going to be the latest and greatest iPhone or Samsung or the Pixel 4 that is going to be out in my hands before too much longer. 8:21 in the morning. So get into that. Congratulations to you. Still, it's Mingo in the lead so far.
Yeah, Ming the Merciless at this point still in the lead.
And a two-way tie between a series of unfortunate events. And who's that guy, Octopus Pew Pew?
Yeah, that guy.
This is unstoppable,
He's
that
a
guy.
Lucky dude.
Yeah, well, I'm worried because now we're going to have to figure out what we're doing for Week 8. Have you taken a look at the roster yet of games?
Not yet. I pulled it up just in case we're going to talk about that today.
And we will. We'll get around to doing that. But first, we got there is more talk. I was in front of the lady over at Carabao, and she's absolutely delighted that we're talking more about the World Series and about baseball. And I said, well, I've got no choice because my producer's actually from Houston.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be some World Series conversation going on today, right?
That's right. Got game 1 going on. You've got, I believe it's Cole and Scherzinger?
Yes.
Yeah, bless me.
Well, it's the Nationals versus the Astros.
Good attempt at saying that name. I was going to butcher it.
Scherzinger, yeah. So basically, Cole has been pretty much lights out. He had one bad outing in the playoffs so far, and I think he got that out of his system. He's not a guy that has many bad outings. So really this World Series is going to be a tale of the pitching staffs more than anything. The Astros, clearly the favorites, according to many of the professional favorite finders, and I look past no one. The Nationals are a dangerous team, and it's going to be a really good series. I'm real nervous. I really am.
As an Astros fan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to see what happens.
Yeah,
ESPN talking about it. The headline on ESPN: best pitching matchups ever, and the many layers of the clash of the super rotations. And I'm assuming that they're talking about this World Series, and so it will be more of a battle on the mounds than a battle of the bats.
Yeah, and really for me, it's concerning to me because the Astros did not actually hit too well against the Yankees. They had some hard struggles at the plate already. So if they can't snap out of that slump and they're having issues, the Nationals are not a team you want to have that kind of issue.
When is the first game? Do we
today?
Today.
10
what
o'clock,
time?
I think, our time.
It's coming up in about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just
10:08.
Yep.
Well, I thought it was okay. I was looking at that. I thought it was 10:08 on Eastern time, but I guess not. So that's locally. It's going to be playing about 10 o'clock.
in the morning.
Okay, so you'll be able to go and watch that at places that sell beer, like I don't know, the Outrigger. 8:23 in the morning. That's not the only big deal in opening day that's taking place today. In addition to the World Series and game number 1, it's also day number 1 for
The NBA.
Who's playing?
Oh,
Oh man, there's a lot of people
I know it's Toronto.
No,
They
it's
were,
the Pelicans.
Toronto's
There's a
Pelicans
team
at
called
Toronto.
the Pelicans
Yes.
that are playing today, and I'm like, wait, the What is that a new
You
team?
know, I was just
I've
looking at
never
it.
heard of that one. And it's not that I pay a lot of attention to the National Basketball Association, but I suppose I probably should. The Pelicans are taking
At
on the Raptors.
Yes, winners from last year.
Mhm.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
you tell me.
Raptors took it.
That's why I only pretend to talk about sports. Okay,
Yeah,
now
me too.
Now here's a couple of teams that I'm a little bit more familiar with. I.e., I've heard these names before. The Lakers and the Clippers are supposed to be playing today as well.
I think
the
they
opening
got
day.
Lakers to take that for ESPN records at least.
Is there a basketball pick'ems?
With a 3-point spread.
So this
I don't know. There may be.
This will be the beginning of the new NBA season that will last until I believe October of 2020.
It ends right around my birthday.
Okay,
Yep.
it just
June.
always seems like there's basketball. It doesn't matter whatever else is going on the planet. There is always NBA action. And
Seems
so
like that way. Yeah.
And so, and I'm wondering how much thunder this is going to steal. I mean, if it turns out that that the first game of the World Series is kind of a wishy-washy, kind of boring game. Yeah,
Which one? This is
yeah,
where you need multiple TVs.
so you call Applebee's and find out, okay, how many television sets do you have? How many can I see from one side of the bar so that I can watch both games going on, the games of the NBA and the games of the World
And
Series?
then you show up and then there's hockey playing or something.
Yeah, or ESPN Classics,
golf.
some weird Muhammad Ali against somebody fight from the 1960s. 8:25 in the morning, so you got all of that stuff, and there's a couple of local angles and a couple of local stories that I wanted to get into. We are on the verge, and Dave Torrey been making a big deal about the six-peat here, and the San Francisco 49ers being 6-0 for the season, and he, Duenas grad, like myself, wanting to wait and see what happens Saturday, October the 26th. It is being referred to as the Quest for 5. The Father Duenas Friars Quest for 5, as in five championships in a row in the IIAAG, and they're going to be taking on George Washington and Father Duenas this coming Saturday, and see if they steamroller GW like they've been able to do with everybody. How many unbeaten games have they played? What is it? 48, 49, 50 or something like that?
last 4 or 5 years. Well, it's easy to win when you have no real competition. I wish we could find more competition for the guys.
Maybe, and I don't know what planet we need to who we've got to invest
hard,
in. What school do we want to invest in, and what's IIAAG going to be like in the next season of football once they've completely separated. So I don't know what's going to be going on there. Now, Dave Torrey also sent, because I'd asked for information on something that Renee and I are going to be doing, even though she doesn't know it. Is the tour? What? It's the
What'd you
tour.
sign me up for?
The tour of Guam.
Oh.
Have you heard about this? Now you can say I can't because I'm working, which is usually the case.
Yeah, I used to help manage that event for a little while.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, so you know about it already? Okay, so the
I know
tour
the route. I know.
Tour of Guam is supposed to be taking place, and I've got a route map that I can put up on the screen.
That's still first week of December?
I think it's coming up like very, very soon. I've asked for details. Stand by one. I see if I've got it on me now. Tour of Guam.
I'm out of town. No, I'm just kidding.
Is going to be taking place. There it is, December the 15th. Showtime is at 5 o'clock in the morning at Skinner Plaza, and you've got two different options that you can go through. I've actually run not a race, but a version of this before in the past on a mountain bike of all things, the 26 miler. So you go, you head north on Marine Corps Drive to the Paseo. From there, turn onto Route 4, cruise to Ordot Salampago, turn onto Cross Island Road, turn back on Marine Corps Drive at the Santa Rita Mobile, and finish over at the Guam Museum. That's a total of about 26 miles.
I did that before, remember?
You've done that, yeah.
And then I called you from Inarohan. I quit.
Say pick
Come
me up?
pick me up.
Yeah.
And he
There was-
thought I was joking, and I was not joking. I was like, you got me into this. You better get me out.
So it's funny as hell. Yeah. So I'm
I do
driving.
not like bikes.
I'm running support and safety for everybody, because all the girls were riding bikes that year, and they signed up for the long course, and Mana, God bless her soul, made it all the way down to Inarohan.
On a mountain bike.
Yeah, and my phone starts going off, and I was headed there anyway because
From Epal Beach. So I made it to Inarohan Pool, and I was angry at everybody who convinced me to do this, right?
But yeah,
So I
those
called them
hills
up,
down
and we
there
end
on
up.
the bike.
He picks me up, and then we said, we'll just meet you guys at Just Pirates
Yeah,
Cove.
because they start selling beer early over at Jeff's Pirates Cove. That was a nice way to end up the race. But that's the way the long course works out. And yeah, stopping at Inaran, not even halfway in that race, because there's just so much more to go and before you get your
I'm proud
your bike.
of everyone who finished.
So no on the long course.
I know, thank you.
But short course.
Short course is short course 26 miles. You ought to be able to do that in a couple of hours.
No.
She's got that face like, where's the short course with no hills? That's the one that I would be going for. And that is a problem for a lot of people. For those of you that don't don't get it.
Beautiful, though.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful
it's a nice
ride.
but you just got to remember.
I'm just not a bike rider.
You got to. Well, you know what it is for me is the shifting of the gears. I always find myself shifting late, and by the time I get to the gear that I want, I'm hopelessly out of breath already going up the hill and end up walking it. And there's a complete lack of enjoyment when you realize that you've walked half the course. So I'm far better on doing the running. Incidentally, I did do some running last night.
Nice.
The guys over at Southern Mountain Gear, which is the new hiking shop in Agania, they do this Tuesday night thing, and so it's a little 3-mile course around Agania. A lot of fun until you start passing by the zombies of Agania. You get all these homeless people that are walking around and literally in the dark look like zombies, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to hold back and run with the girls and make sure that they're safe.
That day on,
what happened?
I was going somewhere. I was running.
Yeah, that's our theme here.
Sure is a running fool.
And I'm trying to figure out when I need to start practicing, and Dave will tell me when I need to start putting together the training runs and the practice for the marathon that's coming up. I haven't decided on the marathon. We'll see what happens. Do we need to take a look at week 8? Do we have time to? Monica, do I have time to take a look at week 8 in the football? All right, so let's take it. Pretending to talk about sports. We've done the baseball, we've done the basketball. Now it's a time to look at the deal on the football pick'ems. Although I worry that if we
seemingly some easy picks, really, based on what you see from the early picks at this point. You got Redskins at the Vikings, Seahawks at the Falcons, Eagles at the Bills. Chargers at Chicago.
I'll put Bills down now just because, Renee's in front of me.
Yeah.
And then he'll change.
Well, and in Buffalo, in Buffalo, I think it's a given. The Eagles are in serious trouble. They just let Dallas beat them, so they have no shame. Chargers at the Bears, Giants at the Lions, Bucks at the Titans, Broncos at the Colts, Bengals at the Rams, Cardinals at the Saints, Jets at the Jaguars, Panthers at the 49ers. Browns at the Patriots. By the way, the game last night, Patriots shut out the Jets 33-0. The Patriots have only given up 48 points so far this year. That's about 7 points per game. It's not their offense that's getting them there. It's their defense. I hate the Patriots, but you just can't deny the fact that they are doing something this year that is going to put them in a good position to perhaps take the whole thing again. I'm sick of them.
It's just starting to see somebody else in the field. Yeah, I'm looking over this as well, and you're right. For the most part, you just stand on the easy ones. I like the Bills. I like New Orleans. I like San Francisco. I like New England. And then I'll mosey through the rest of this and see if there's anything else that's going to be interesting. It looks like there might still be a couple of tough picks in there. You got Houston and Oakland, and then Green Bay at Kansas City. I like the Packers, but Kansas City has been looking pretty good this year.
Well, the fact is, though, Mahomes is out. And so without Mahomes, Kansas City's not the same team. They easily beat the Broncos last week, but,
it was the Broncos.
Father Duenas could beat the Broncos, so it's okay. And so that should be a good game, actually. Rodgers for the Packers, he had probably the best game of his career last week. So we'll see how he comes back from that. Dolphins at Steelers, kind of a sleeper because the Steelers should just walk on that one, even though both teams aren't really doing
that
good
great. Okay, so the fun part is with the tiebreakers. Prediction last week on who would win the most points. In my it was New England, but I don't know if that was the case.
No, they did not. No, they only scored 33, and so we had some others score actually quite a bit more than that. I think the top team here, let me look at this. We had 42 by Minnesota and Green Bay. And then we had, I'm rolling through, 42 looks like that was the top points. So, but for the team that scored the least, that would be the Jets and also the Washington Redskins.
All right, it's 8:33 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK. That's about all the time that we've got to pretend to talk about sports. Renee's got a job to do over at the Outrigger. Big special going on today?
Nothing. Just come on by.
Just go over there.
Be there all day.
Start selling beer at 9 o'clock. What else do you need to know?
5 to 7.
Got one of the best buffets in Tumon right there in the cafe.
I say we have perfected the wings. We did a wing tasting yesterday to make sure that they are on point. And
wait.
somebody coming from Buffalo,
Yeah. They
wings
did
are pretty good.
Wings. So Wing Wednesday over at Outrigger tonight.
Wings every day.
Oh, okay.
We have wings every day at Bamboo Bar.
But the ribs. Okay, so Bamboo Bar ribs. Because you perfected the ribs as well. If there was ever, if there's any question about it, the best rib chesa on Guam is going to be over at the Bamboo Bar. My favorite thing about the Bamboo Bar, besides the service and the drinks and all of that stuff, is you can make it it's a different Bamboo Bar every night because people move the furniture. This is my favorite thing about it. You go, if it's just you and a friend, no problem. We got a spot for you. If it's you and 20 friends, then all of a sudden they start gathering up and it turns it into their own little U sections and things like that. Absolutely. So we're not supposed to do that.
No.
Oh, crap. 8:34 in the morning. You didn't hear it here. That's all the time we've got for you. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Mana Silva Tyron's got headlines after these. Konnichiwa! We'll be celebrating the 40th Japan Autumn Festival on Saturday, November 16th from 2 until 9 at the Governor Joseph Flores Beach Park. That's Ipao Beach Park. Parking will be available across Oka Payless with free shuttle service every 15 minutes starting at 1:30. Advance tickets available now at the Japan Club of Guam office located on the first floor of Pia Marine during business hours. The Japan Autumn Festival at Ipao Beach Park, November 16th from 2 to 9. Come join us. For information, call 646-8066. This message made possible by Choice Broadcasting. Yeah, apparently we're not wearing the same color shirt. I was getting a selfie because I thought it was, good, we're both wearing black today. And as it turns out, that's a blue shirt. But I got the selfie anyway. 8:35 in the morning, 888-825-5880-TALK is the telephone number around these parts here. And is it time for the last look at headlines? It is. With news from the Guam Daily Post, here's Mana Silva Tyron.
Well, the Chamorro Land Trust Commission will hold the first of a number of town hall meetings this week. This one on Friday will be to focus on issues dealing with CLTC land. Southern residents from Agate, Inarahan, Maritzo, PD, Santa Rita, Talafofo, Pneumatic, and Jotnya will all be invited to give their input. That meeting will be on October 25th at Sagambasita in Agate. Investigators have identified persons of interest in their investigation into the murder of the Yap Attorney General. Rachel Bergeron was gunned down outside of her home last week, and while they haven't released the names of the suspects, they do say that they have made strides in closing that investigation. Bergeron was an American national working in Yap. And they're looking to fill 700 jobs, and a job fair will be held today at the Agana Shopping Center. The Guam Census Office is recruiting people to help conduct the 2020 census. The job fair today will be from 10 a.m. until 3 this afternoon. And those are your headlines from the Guam Daily Post. I'm Mana Silva Tyron.
Well, thanks very much, Mana Silva Tyron. It's 8:36 in the morning, and that is iConnect time. And if you're looking for a job, they are hiring over at iConnect. They're looking for self-motivated, energetic, outgoing communicators for their corporate sales team. So if you've got some sales experience, excellent communication skills, can work as a team, they encourage you to apply. Drop off your resume or email it to hr@iconnectguam.com or drop it off at iConnect's main office or at the Micronesia Mall. Applications are available there as well. iConnect, an equal opportunity employer.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
Wait, what are we auditioning for? Is Mana Silva Tyron? Who you say?
Ernest Choco is putting on another production. This one is the Broadway musical Christmas show. So the auditions, I'm just seeing it on Facebook, it starts today. Let me try to make this bigger. At 7 p.m. at the Agana Shop. No. This one is at the Department of Education's first floor conference room from 7 to 9.
Okay, and it's a Christmas what?
A Broadway musical Christmas.
Oh, I don't know anything about Broadway. That's Mike's department.
Gates putting on this show with the Department of Education and Agana Shopping Center, and it's being directed by Ernest Choco.
Okay, all right. Well, he did the most recent Mamma Mia was one of his plays. 8:38 in the morning. All right, I'm gonna let you cut and do whatever it is that you do. Actually, you know what Mana does when she's not here?
Oh my gosh,
what?
Raymond.
It's not like I have pictures of it. So,
You better.
so like what? What?
Thank you for not taking pictures because I was really calakas when you pulled up.
There was gardening going on yesterday, and she's whipping the flowers and
I was mowing the
orchids
lawn, and then I blew the lawn, and he drove up, and it was really pretty. So I got to show off a
It
little
was
bit of
the yard's looking really, really good. All right, so you go finish whatever yard work you got today. 8:38 in the morning, and I'll be right back. Oh, am I supposed to? We already did the I'll be right back stand. Okay, all right, go eat at Mescla for lunch today. They've got 3 cups chicken, but they've also got this Taiwanese-style beef noodle soup. It has all the favorite parts of the beef shank in it, the shank and the tendons, and they simmer it now. In fact, that's what they do, is they put the whole cow in this rich Taiwanese-style soy-based broth. Serve that up over noodles and bok choy and cilantro, available in Agana and in Tumon at the Grand Plaza Hotel. If you want to make some reservations, I would suggest you do 969-2652.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training.
What can we learn from public companies that have to report their earnings every 90 days? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we'll look at how we might be able to apply the 90-day timeline to our own performance.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point at guamtraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts. Brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and First Hawaiian Bank on 93.3 The Point.
Yeah, see, this would be the part. It would be perfect. Look at the traffic gizmo and give them one of the best directions, the best route to get home. And it looks like just about every route will, getting into that central part of the island should be okay. Just avoid the area over by the McMobile intersection. It's busy at the intersection. It's busy on the street that takes you past Harvest. But once you're past that, everything is running clear on Roy T. DeMillon Street. The rest of Route 8 is looking pretty neat now at this time. In fact, all of the roadways are looking pretty good. Harmon Loop, maybe not so much. I don't know if there's a lot going on or why there's a lot going on. Maybe a sale over at Cost You Less or something like that. And in the downtown Upper Tumon area, you're going to see a little bit of intersection traffic. That should clear up by the time you get past St. John's. Downtown had gotten traffic from McDonald's all the way out to the Chief Kipua Loop. That area is moving a little bit slow because there's some construction in the area. Don't see anything major in front of Big Navy and anything more busy than usual over Big Navy or Navy Hospital. It's 8:41. That's right now traffic here on The Point.
Oh, what's for breakfast at KFC under $3.95, you ask? What's for breakfast at KFC that's different than the other guys, you ask? KFC's chicken wrap, sausage wrap, the Colonel's chicken congee, chicken fried steak, sausage biscuit and gravy, and biscuit sandwiches made with KFC's original fluffy biscuits. All for under $3.95 and all only at KFC. Plus, with waffles and the Colonel's chicken fried rice, we've got something for everyone.
So visit KFC for breakfast today. It's finger licking good.
Interesting view. Looks like the FHP urgent care parking lot. You can see across the way the place where Coast 360 was and the big screen on Marine Corps Drive over by the ITC building. If you're watching on the Facebook Live, is a truck that has got a couch. It's a nice couch. I like that couch. I'd like that couch over at my house. It's a Budweiser red couch, and sitting on the couch is a guy. Looks like a dog there as well. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. Just one of those things that make life that much more interesting on Guam. 8:42. Not that we need all kinds of other additional interesting things. I mean, for heaven's sakes, every newspaper and television newscast is just festooned with things that are interesting. I'm often asked from people that listen to the program, they go, aren't you worried that one of these days you'll run out of stuff to talk about? And I'm going, babe, I work on Guam in talk radio. I will never, ever, ever run out of stuff to talk about, and I will never run out of people to talk to or about. There's always something. Today, a couple of big deals, and if you've seen the Guam Daily Post, you already know where I'm going to be headed on a lot of the topics. The Supreme Court appeal has its risks. According to Attorney General Levin Camacho, it kind of sounds like he was trying to suggest to the governor and the governor's people that this appeal of the Davis ruling to the Supreme Court of the United States might bring with it some risks, i.e., we risk not getting heard at all. according to Senator Bob Klitsky, Judge Bob Klitsky, my legal expert, he says, here's the big part, is they might not even take the case up. We are more than welcome to apply to the Supreme Court of the United States and ask them if we might be able to get this case heard, but they don't necessarily have to hear it. Is the thing. And then, of course, they might look at it and say, yeah, we don't see what Ninth Circuit got wrong on this, a violation of the 15th Amendment, so you lose. The Constitution wins. And it might end up there. And then there's, of course, the cost of doing this. They've already sunk about $1 million worth of expenses into defending the Davis lawsuit to begin with. And how much more is it going to be, considering we've got our very close, very dear personal friend, nice guy, good lawyer, not the cheapest one on the block. Michael Phillips is the guy that they're talking to about taking on this case and taking it to the Supreme Court. So, yeah, Attorney General Levin Camacho says there's risks, and it looks like the people over at the governor's office says we're more than willing to take up those risks and see where this goes. So I wanted to make sure that I've got balanced conversation on both sides of this. One of the guys that when they heard about the Davis case and the affirmation by the Ninth Circuit said, nah, Dave Davis doesn't get the last word here. The people of Guam are going to get the last word. That was my Uncle Robert Underwood, who joins us now. Good morning, Uncle Robert.
Good morning. Good morning, Ray.
I don't know.
Good to hear your voice.
It's always nice to hear your voice. I don't know if we should play the Uncle Robert music here, because it's not really our regular visit with Uncle Robert. This is more of a newsmaker, headline maker kind of interview in the conversation to get your thoughts on the governor's decision now to move forward with an appeal to the Supreme Court. What do you think?
Well, I'm glad that she did it. There was a lot of conversation, and of course, the risks were outlined by the people who were participants in it, and the risks are kind of convoluted and a little bit hard to understand, and it would have been, I think, dispiriting and disheartening had they decided to just not appeal it at this time. Of course, appealing it doesn't mean that even as you've outlined clearly, that they'll even take the case, and they might just leave it alone as it is. And in that case, at least you made the effort, and you can continue to pursue other avenues.
Well, the congressman, and I know there's a unique relationship between you as a former congressman and the current congressman in Washington, D.C. He thinks that it might be just instead of spending the money on the appeal that we might not even get, why don't we just throw that money at the actual vote, and the next primary election, let's include that as a non-binding referendum. Would that be a serious problem?
Well, it depends on how the vote is constructed, and it depends, of course, if we're trying to figure out how to, in a way, there's a lot of thinking about how to finesse the current decision by the Ninth Circuit and how to pursue it in other ways. So, I sort of understand those ways, but I take the congressman's words as at least as they were reported as being unfriendly to the concept of Chamorro self-determination, and that is a matter of concern to me.
Well, okay, and leaving that where it is, I mean that's kind of subjective at this point. But the idea of putting this before all of the people of Guam in some kind of a referendum and universal suffrage, is that anathema to you?
No, it's not anathema to me, but it is the concept of Chamorro self-determination is the fulfillment, again, of a promise and a commitment that was made. And so that I always argued that it should be the first step. So the first step should be some kind of formal consultation with the Chamorro people, and how that's constructed, as it exists now, you'd have to figure out how to construct that within the confines of the Ninth Circuit opinion. If we waited and if we appealed it and went all the way to the Supreme Court and they gave an even stronger dissent to it, it might also lead to a more restricted version. On the other hand, you don't know. You don't know what the Supreme Court might say, and there may be dissenting opinions. Even if you lose in the Supreme Court, there may be dissenting opinions upon which you can construct a policy in the future, and that policy will still end up being in Congress. Congress will shift. The presidency will shift. We just don't know the dynamics of that.
Right. It's just
I am not going to concede I personally will never concede that this process of political status choice shouldn't begin with some kind of formal consultation with the Chamorro people, who are the injured party in this struggle for political status.
Are we still maintaining the list here? That you and I are both signed up? Yeah, the registry. Are we still maintaining the registry?
It is according to law. I've always had problems with the registry. I never signed up because I don't have to sign a piece of paper to say that I'm Chamorro. What they should do is just say, this is an election and we're having it for registered voters who are Chamorro. And then when you go and you vote, you say, I'm Chamorro, and then they give you a ballot. And that's all it takes. It doesn't take a lot of, you see, the more complicated the process they made, the more difficult it became to implement it. And of course, it led to the exact court challenge that we're facing now.
Well, without denying anybody the right to vote, couldn't it be, and maybe it's just a question of technology, because I guarantee I could put together something with Google and Google Sheets or something like that, post that up on a website somewhere and ask the question, are you Chamorro, yes or no? And if regardless of what you answer, the next question is going to be, do you support statehood or free association or Commonwealth or status quo or whatever, and let the data come out and let the data speak. So we did the survey, we did the election, and we've conducted this, and of the people that said they were Chamorro, these were the outcomes that they desired. And of the people that did not identify as Chamorro, these are the outcomes that they desired. Why cannot we build a referendum that looks like that, as opposed to...
You could build a referendum that looks like that, but in my mind, in my estimation, that's not a consultation with the Chamorro people. In my mind, that's just a sort of a technological solution to a complex historical problem. You know, if you maintain that people have rights and that they're inalienable, then those rights have to be exercised. And you know, admittedly, the Ninth Circuit decision is based on the voting restriction, but it doesn't. It also, in a way, there are parts of the decision that allow that there is legitimate sentiment behind this process. So it doesn't apply the 14th Amendment, which is the Equal Protection Clause, which is a different issue. See, the concern legally, I think, is that if they go to the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court would not only add the 15th, they'd add the 14th. And then when you add the 14th, you then run the risk of applying all other kinds of programs in which may be thrown up in the air. That's the risk that they're talking about. But, you know, I'm so committed to the issue of Chamorro self-determination. I'm still trying to find a way to formally consult them, saying, we're asking the Chamorro people, we're holding this election, and here they come, and this is what they said. And then after that, well, then that's a different issue. After that, whatever government we construct, of course everybody should participate. Of course we have a democratic ethos on this island. Of course we appreciate people who love Guam. You don't have to be on Guam for 2 days to not fall in love with it, you know. So
I hear that from people all the time.
Kind of like non-issues to me, because the issue really is who was denied this, and it was promised in the Treaty of Paris. And then when it was further refined in the Organic Act, they made mention to people of native Guamanian ancestry, which is really, they're talking about the Chamorro people.
852, here's a concept, and I think every married man has exercised this in the past. It's easier to beg forgiveness than it is to ask permission. Why don't we just, in the next election, include another ballot?
Yeah,
and hand it out to people that identify as Chamorro.
And and that's a conversation we ought to be having. But you don't have that conversation unless you're really committed to the idea of this formal consultation.
Well, and that would be it. I mean, we're just going to have an election, and there's going to be an additional ballot in there, and we'll ask the guy will ask, "Are you Chamorro?" And if the answer is yes, hand you that other ballot, and that will be counted. And if somebody comes up and squawks later on, we'll go ahead and squawk later on. The same way that I'm serious. The same way that we are with our legalized recreational marijuana are flying in the face of federal law and the idea that marijuana is a Schedule I banned substance. But that doesn't seem to be bothering anybody over at the legislature, the governor's office, or the hundreds of thousands of people that are now smoking marijuana on a regular basis. So, and if the Fed comes in and says you weren't supposed to do that with marijuana, we'd go, "Oh, sorry, oops, excuse, I didn't mean it." And maybe we ought to do the same thing here.
Yeah, well, it always is better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. But you can't say that going in.
I'm sorry, because
But see, that's if we were to construct an election like that, we could have done that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We could have.
Are we done with the educational process? You know, there's a lot of money that needed to get spent, and I think it did. And if we decided that we were going to do it the Ray Gibson way and just throw the finger up at the federal government and at the Constitution, would everybody be on the same page in terms of what these different determinations mean?
Well, I think so. I think most people are paying attention. Of course, if as a prelude to the actual election, you'd have to intensify it because there's always people who never get the word, and so educational process is never going to be fully completed. But people are paying attention, know what they are, and I think if we were to construct an election like you just outlined, people will really pay attention.
Absolutely, and just because we're going to say we're doing it this time, and I don't care. You know what? We're going to keep cockfighting. We're going to keep smoking marijuana, and we're going to ask this question on the election. And if you don't like it, then go find a judge that will give you a writ.
How you vote, you can keep cockfighting and marijuana.
There you go. Well, see, I'm glad I cleared that with you first, though.
Okay, I
think that's the important stuff. 8:56. To talk to you pretty soon, Unc.
Okay.
All right. You have a terrific morning. 888-825-5888. TALK is the telephone number. Let's just do that. Look, I'm the guy. Joe says, I'll smoke to that. I'm the guy that says on January 1st, when the new federal rule takes effect that says there is no cockfighting on Guam or in Puerto Rico or any place where the American flag flies, then I want to have at the governor's office.
Literally a cockfighting fiesta.
Exactly, right there in the place, and we'll invite the FBI, and we'll invite all of these people from the ABC, from the ABC different agencies that we've got, and say we're going to keep doing what we do here, and if you don't like it, then all of these people will need to be arrested. You will need to arrest all of these people and charge them with a federal crime. And if you're not prepared to do that for everybody, then that's what we think of your legislation, and I don't know that, and I'm enough of one of those guys that I don't know, fight authority, but authority always wins. It just seems to me like that one would be the fun one. That would be that's the way to do it. We're going to have this plebiscite anyway. And if you don't want to, you don't have to participate in it. But if you do, then these are the different statuses that you can go after. And, of course, Uncle Robert left out the important one. He was talking about a democratic ethos in there. And forgive me, but I think during the newscast I'm going to actually look up what ethos actually means. I think I know because I read comic books that had the word in it, but I want to make sure I get it. Because in my mind, I'm going, dude, let's just let's cut to the chase. We'll make it the monarchy. And as I'm fond of saying, I will be your first king. 8:57 in the morning. Hey, Yuka's online over at Guam Memorial Hospital. That's nice. So what happens when the decision is overturned and things start to change in favor of those that are pleased and we're in favor of this move? Base closure, federal funding stops. Hey, you never know. You never know. There's always the concern And I'm one of the guys that rings that concern bell. In fact, I did it last night. I was talking with a buddy, and he was decrying the van load of people from Guam that went to the United Nations and basically, gave the United States and the military a hard time in front of the United Nations, but at the same time is very happy to take all of the benefits of being a part of the union. And he says, boy, that could backfire on us. We got all these things, the war claims that we want to get through, and we want H-2Bs, and we want all this stuff that requires action by the administration and Congress. And here we are, just basically peeing on the concept over at the United Nations. Always worry that it's going to backfire on us. And it never does. Has it? Has there been an eruption of military leaving? No, the opposite. Federal funding hasn't stopped, and in fact, in some cases, it is increasing.
That's just because they still own us, bro.
Well, I guess. Anyways, just play around with the concept of that kind of civil disobedience at the ballot box, because in my mind, it's fun. It would be adventurous. I know you're going to go, but Gibson, it's juvenile as hell, and I'll go, yeah, maybe that's part of the attraction to me as well. This is one of those Animal House moves. Did they give up when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? 8:59 and change. We were talking earlier, and maybe in this newscast we'll get an update on how Jimmy Carter is doing. Mike reported to me early this morning that he took another tumble, and for guys that are in their 90s, like the former president is, it's kind of scary, and we need to prepare ourselves for a world without Jimmy Carter. More on that in just a little bit. The radio station is KUSG. I got you. Headquarters for Fox News. That's coming up next. We got another hour to kill in the small talk portion of this program. You can contribute that as well, so stick around, Brown. That's all ahead right here on The Point.
A detailed account. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A former U.S. ambassador before lawmakers conducting the impeachment inquiry of President Trump with vivid details of what transpired on a phone call between President Trump and the leader of Ukraine.
Sources familiar with the closed-door session tell Fox News that William Taylor told congressional investigators there were, quote, two channels for policymaking on Ukraine, quote, one regular and one highly irregular. Taylor, who described himself as a career diplomat, said the regular channel went through traditional State Department avenues, and the irregular channel went through the president's people, naming Ambassador Gordon Sondland, former special envoy Kurt Volker, the president's personal attorney Rudy Giuliani, and Energy Secretary Rick Perry.
Fox's Catherine Herridge at the Capitol. Some lawmakers said the testimony from Taylor filled in gaps from the testimony of other witnesses. The 5-day ceasefire between Turkey and the Kurds extended after negotiations between Turkey and Russia.
The new agreement calls for joint Russian and Syrian government patrols beginning in 150 hours to ensure the absence of any Kurdish fighters in a safety zone within 18 miles of the border between Syria and Turkey. Russia's influence in the conflict has grown since the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Syria. After several hours of talks in Sochi, Russia, Turkish President Erdogan referred to Russian President Putin as my dear friend.
Fox's Steve Harrigan in Erbil, Iraq. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer again blasting President Trump for pulling most U.S. troops out of Syria.
It's a clear demonstration of the president's fecklessness when it comes to dealing with dictators. This is one of the worst decisions in decades. It puts Americans here in the homeland in danger.
The chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee says sanctions could be imposed on Turkey for its actions against the Kurds. America is listening to Fox News.
Half a day. Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Jade Uggan of Umatic, and this is where I start my day. Listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanonmo. Protect your land. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech, a passion for improving lives through better water.
Two University of Connecticut students charged for shouting a racial slur outside campus apartments.
Police say Ryan Mukaj and Jared Corral both face a misdemeanor ridicule charge that could carry a year in prison. Cell phone video caught the men shouting the N-word and more offensive language as they walked. A police report says Corral called it part of a game. Mukaj says he did not remember the incident after having several drinks. Students like Belinda Blaze say the university needs to act.
It sets an example for everyone on the UConn campus that there are repercussions for your actions.
UConn President Tom Katsouleas says he will listen to students' concerns and announced steps to promote diversity on campus. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
A former guidance counselor at Indiana High School taking legal action after being fired over her same-sex marriage. Shelley Fitzgerald has filed a federal lawsuit naming the Indianapolis Archdiocese on Roncalli High School. She claims she was discriminated against and faced retaliation due to her sexual orientation. Major League Baseball investigating an interaction involving a Houston Astros executive and reporters following the team's ALCS win.
The Houston Astros calling a Sports Illustrated report surrounding assistant GM Brandon Taubman misleading and completely irresponsible. In the piece, a group of 3 female reporters alleged that Taubman taunted them about pitcher Roberto Osuna's domestic violence allegations, screaming, "Thank God we got Osuna," in their direction half a dozen times. Witnesses note one reporter was wearing a purple domestic violence awareness bracelet at the time. Taubman apologized for the locker room celebration, saying his overexuberance was about winning the American League pennant, not about Osuna's past accusations. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
Henry Thomas, the actor who as a child starred in E.T. the Extraterrestrial, has been arrested for DUI in Oregon. Police say they found the 48-year-old in a stopped car and took him into custody after conducting a field sobriety test. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
No. 5 after 9 o'clock in the morning. What am I supposed to tell you about here? The guys over at Wendy's have cooked up a great breakfast for you. In fact, they haven't cooked it. They've got the menu for it. They've got the recipe for it, but they haven't cooked it just yet. They're going to wait until you're in the drive-thru and actually make the order. My recommendation is they've got country fried chicken. It goes on a white, it's just slathered, just drenched in this white gravy, and then you have that on top of a bed of scrambled. Where are you going? I know you get hungry when I do this, right? You're going, crap, there's not a Wendy's for 2 miles. What am I going to do? Drive 2 miles to the Wendy's and get your hands on this platter. It's like $4, guys. And if that's not your deal, we got eggs, rice, and applewood smoked bacon and Portuguese sausage. The breakfast platter's waiting for you at Wendy's for $4. Now, that's better. Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Lines. Now, American President Lines, when it comes to shipping, these guys, they're like the country fried chicken with white gravy on it. So for all of your get it here from someplace needs, APL has got a global presence with a local home.
Morning talk that matters. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Do that. 6 after 9 o'clock in the morning, and very excited because it's Wednesday, and this is a big week. A lot going on this weekend. Friday night is quiz night, and for those of you that have not signed up yet, I urge you, please sign up. The seats are going fast, and maybe that's why we haven't heard from Becky in the last couple of days, is because maybe they're out of seats for quiz night. Now, if you don't know what it is, Habitat for Humanity quiz night is and I'm fine. I like to MC stuff. I like to think I'm pretty good at it, and I like to MC stuff. And this is one of my favorite MC gigs because there is no time in my working year that I feel more close to the audience than on quiz night. It is as though we are one entity. As I'm asking the questions, as the audience and the quiz folks begin to answer the questions, and then we'll recite the answers a little bit later on and see who's right and who's wrong. It really is a good time, and I probably have more fun than the audience. So quiz night is happening on Friday. Ton of other stuff going to be taking place. I didn't get a chance to talk about 5Ks. One of my favorite ones is coming up. This is the Guam Reef Hotel 2K 5K Run and Walk for Wishes. Now, they do this as a fundraiser for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and one of the reasons why I like it so much is because the people over at the Guam Reef Hotel, when you're done with the race, it's not just, here's a chunk of banana, here's a, quarter of an orange or something like that. They've got restaurants over at the Reef Hotel, and they will press the chefs and the waiters and waitresses of these restaurants to have some breakfast victuals waiting for you at the end. And they've always got great prices as well. So if you're interested in doing that, that's going to be taking place Sunday morning, Sunday, at the Reef Hotel. Showtime, it's 5:15. Go time is going to be at 6 o'clock. So if you're not going to be up too late on Saturday night, that's worth looking forward to. Now, I was talking in the last hour, spent a lot of time with Uncle Robert, and we were talking, obviously, about the Supreme Court case, and there's all kinds of editorial ink that has been written on this in the last couple of days. This story from Chris Barnett, who caught up with Mike Phillips. Mike Phillips says, because he's a lawyer, Guam wins whether Supreme Court takes the case or not. Mike says, I cannot deny our people the right of an appeal so long as other members are willing to champion it. Now, the point about the right to appeal was dismissed this morning by Judge Bob Klitsky. We spoke with him, and he says, well, first of all, that's how you know it's going to be a tough debate when somebody starts off with, well, now, let me just tell you. First of all, there is no right to an appeal, according to that, his honor. But further, Mike Phillips says, I think Guam wins whether the Supreme Court rules against the Chamorro people or not. The reason is this, because if they rule in our favor, that speaks for itself. If they rule against the Chamorro people, then there is a real clear understanding of what the barriers are. In my opinion, the 15th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment does not apply to Guam. For those of you that are curious and can't remember what all of the amendments are, the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution granted African-American men the right to vote by declaring that the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Although ratified in February 3rd, 1870, the promise of the 15th Amendment would not be fully realized for almost a century.
But we're not a state.
It says here, the right of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States. So regardless of whether or not Guam is a state, you would say that we are citizens, and therefore the 15th Amendment would apply to us. But as Uncle Robert says, they'll try to find a way to finesse the language of the plebiscite of the ruling, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting conversation one way or the other. And I did make reference. I try not to do it because it just in my mind, one of the worst things that you can do is talk to somebody that had a job and ask him what he thinks of the guy that's currently doing the job. But in this case, it's part of the news story, and the news story is Congressman Mike Nicholas, who could not join us by phone this morning. He did send me a Facebook message apologizing for his unavailability. They're voting on stuff in Congress, in the House. He's actually on the floor doing some voting, and he says, I got to do this. And I said, anything sexy? And he says, oh, my God, are you trying to get me in trouble? There's nothing sexy. You notice they've kind of dropped that conversation. You remember there was all this conversation? Go fuck. Right? I'm almost hesitant to bring it up. I don't know. Let that sleeping dog lie. One of his staffers went to the Guam Election Commission, made a complaint about him, and
I've heard nothing about that.
And an investigation supposed to have ensued, and
there was some uproar at the beginning, and then
they wrapped around the cloak of invisibility around this over at the Guam Election Commission, and we still don't know. But I haven't heard anybody, because you'd think that the Democrats, the anti-Mike Democrats would be out there making a big stink about this.
And the Republicans would if they heard anything.
Well,
come on.
Yeah. So I wonder if they've done an investigation, reached no conclusion, and just move on, guys. 9:12 in the morning. My buddy Tom's on the line. Hey, Tom, how you doing there, bro?
How you doing, my friend?
I'm amused. Oftentimes that's my answer. People will say, "How you doing?" I'm amused. There's all kinds of stuff that I don't know that I've got a big personal stake in. I don't know if it's going to make any difference in my power bill or my water bill or the price of the gasoline that I've got to fill my car with today. So they got all these things. They're just kind of amusing stories and help pass the time in talk radio. What about you? How you doing?
Oh, I'm all right. Except that I haven't won the lottery yet.
Somebody did, because I was looking at the numbers for the Tuesday lottery, and last week, I want to say lottery numbers were, I write them down. I don't always refer to them on the radio, but last week, the lottery numbers, it's $2.3 million in tax refunds. I might have it somewhere else then. But I was looking at the numbers on the Tuesday lottery, and there it is. $1.2 million was the jackpot for last night. The jackpot for Thursday night, tomorrow night, is going to be $4.8 million. In the last few weeks, those numbers in both of those lotteries have been significantly higher. So it ain't you, but somebody is winning some lottery dough, bro.
Anyway, my call is not sexy unless there's a woman in the Supreme Court. Anyway, I want
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
My way of thinking, but here's my take on that appeal. I really don't like what our governor is trying to do. I don't want this appeal to go to the Supreme Court, because the way I see it, Ray, is that we, the people of Guam, are always asking or even demanding that we be treated equally, just like any other citizen in the mainland. But why now are we not treating? Why aren't we treating people here in Guam equally? And the reason why I say that is that we are not treating everybody here equally when it comes to the plebiscite that we're supposed to have. I want everybody to be able to vote in this plebiscite, whatever race or religion or sex they are. And the way our plebiscite law is written now, we're not treating everybody equally. But yet we, the people of Guam, are demanding that we be treated equally just like any other citizens in the mainland. We cannot have it both ways, Ray. That's the way I see it. And I want people to tell me that I'm wrong. If they feel I'm wrong by saying those things, I want people to phone in the radio and tell them that Tom is wrong.
Okay.
Shut up.
Tom says sell out. Well, I hear that from people. I just roll my eyes and move on in the other direction. At the end of, think about this now. Even if we were to, as Uncle Robert say, finesse this, we still have to get through which one of these items, which ones of these forms of self-governance are we going to have? What will it end up being, and then what's it going to take to get there from here?
But
in our lifetimes, in what's left of our lifetimes, do you suppose, even if we had a referendum that we could say is representative of the voice of the people, and whether you want to say it's all people or just the Chamorro people that my background, half of me is from, do you think that there will be, as soon as that's done, rainbows shooting out of our eyes? We will be bumping into each other because we're levitating in the streets. Do you think that we will almost immediately be able to jump into whatever form of self-governance that we desire, that we choose, and then go on blissfully with our lives? Or do you think that will just be the beginning of another decades-long row?
let me say two things that will kind of counter Mr. Underwood. I know what commitment he's talking about when the U.S. is committed, mandated by the Treaty of Paris. Under Article 9 of the Treaty of Paris specifically says that the civil rights and the political status of the people of Guam shall be determined by Congress. That is the commitment that the U.S. signed in the Treaty of Paris. And the U.S. did accomplish that commitment, did meet that commitment when they enacted the Organic Act. The Organic Act gave the civil rights to the people of Guam through the U.S. Constitution, the first 10 amendments, the civil rights, the Bill of Rights, rather. And that's the civil rights that the U.S. have met that commitment to the Treaty of Paris. And the other Treaty of Paris commitment is the political status. And the U.S. did give Guam that political status, which is what we have now. It is an unincorporated territory, but it is still a political status in compliance with the Treaty of Paris. And I don't know why Mr. Underwood is forgetting that. And also remember that the Chamorros, even before World War II, were already given a choice, and they're the ones who requested Congress. We sent the Chamorros back then, even before World War II, sent representatives to Washington to request that the people of Guam be given a U.S. citizenship status.
So what is there left for us? What else do we want? 9:18 in the morning. You were begging for somebody to call in and say that you were wrong. So there's Tony who says you're wrong. Good morning, Tony. You're on with Tomas.
Yeah, Tom, you're wrong, Tom.
What? Which part am I wrong?
You said, yeah, because we keep fighting for this and that, but we still haven't got it, Tom.
What don't we have?
Law, Tom, to not affect Guam.
The Cabotage Law. The Cabotage Law is a different issue.
Because you know why, Tom? Because they're greedy. And they only want their own interest. They don't care about any other people's interest, Tom. And laws about Tom. Yes, marijuana is legal. Now it's legal.
The Cabotage Law is a different issue.
What is not right, Tom? It's a moral thing, Tom. Just because the U.S. law says all this and that doesn't mean that law is right, Tom. It doesn't mean it's right. Just because they make a law doesn't mean the law is right, Tom.
The Cabotage Law is a different issue. Don't even bring it up.
What is going on here, Tom? When we allow everybody else to have their own agendas, like the FSM and the CNMI and Palau to vote, and then Guam doesn't get it, Tom.
Those are different issues.
How is it different, Tom? We're different.
Those are different issues.
We're not an ethnicity, Tom. We're not a people. What are we? The Lago?
No, those are different issues.
Why was FSM and why were all those other people around us allowed and not Guam, Tom?
Those are different issues. Don't even talk about that.
Tom, because it's in their own interest, Tom, to keep Guam the way it is, Tom. That's why, Tom. No other reason. Because if they didn't want Guam, we'll be like the FSM and we'll be like Palau because they don't have no interest here, Tom. And you know, Tom, what I'm saying, Tom. You're avoiding the issues.
Well, those places were never those places were never territories. Those were all part of the trust territories, and the recognition was that they were their own. That they're after the administering powers that took care of them, Japan, Germany, etc., Great Britain, Dutches, that they would have the opportunity to come to some kind of terms with the federal government.
Tom, what we did in Vietnam, what we're doing in the Middle East is wrong, Tom. You know it, Tom.
Wow.
You know it. Did it make it right, Tom? No, it didn't make it right. What the Tom did to Guam, Tom, was it right? It was wrong, Tom. But in their own interest, it was right, Tom? That's
Ray, he's talking about different issues, Ray.
Well, I recognize it, but I'm trying to figure out just how high his voice is going to get. Thank God we're on FM. Hey guys, I'm going to let you both run here. It's 9:21 in the morning. Have a terrific morning. Because honestly, what's the line? I think we're all dumber for having heard some of that. Yeah, there's all kinds of other places around us that have been able to achieve their forms of self-governance and independence, but they were not territories. They were not granted by the treaties like the Philippines and Puerto Rico and Guam, et cetera, et cetera. And to the victor went the spoils. You want out from under that, there are going to be consequences one way or the other. 888-8255-888-TALK. One of my favorite, I was talking about cookbooks and menus and things like that. Gerard Afflegui's on the line from the United Snakes of America. How's things on the mainland, bro?
It's balmy 60 degrees, and the sun is out here in Denver, Colorado. How are you, Ray?
You know what? I'm doing okay. Interesting conversations that we're having around here, and I'm assuming that somewhere around you right now there's a conversation going on about either the World Series or the first day, opening day of the NBA. What are you and your friends going on about tonight?
We're just focusing on our own, local efforts with our Kickstarter. And it's the last day for us to raise money for, Mariana's cookbook that you've been watching us, over Facebook.
Yeah, I'm feeling guilty because I haven't donated yet. So today's the day?
Today's the last day. We officially reached almost $23,000, and we've got 500 books pre-sold already across the world.
How many?
500 books pre-sold.
Nice.
$23,000.
Nice. Now, so you've surpassed your goal, right?
Our goal was $9,000, and we surpassed it by over 200%. So we have a few more hours left for anybody on Guam that might want to go on to Kickstarter.com and type in Chamorro, CHAMORU. It's a 400-page cookbook and a book of culture. And once we close off the Kickstarter, we're going to be selecting our printer overseas who's going to be printing the book for us. And from there, it's going to be working to try to get our 500 books out to our first supporters across the world, and then start selling it retail across the world and back to Guam and like that.
All right, I'm on the Kickstarter site and I'm looking for the search thing so I can type it in the word Chamorro, spelled the new way, CHAMORU.
That's correct.
MORU. Okay, and let me see what pops up here. Help publish a book of Chamorro culture and cuisine. 236% funded as of 16 hours ago. I'm going to copy the address and of this and then put it up on the Facebook so that everybody gets a chance to do this. See if I can back the subject, share. I'll do all of this stuff while the program's still on. Is there anything new on this? I mean, you guys are always kind of tweaking and adjusting since our last call on the subject. Have you done anything cool and made any additions to it?
We put a few extra pages on unique and exotic foods of Guam. Of course, we featured the fruit bat. And we featured a story about, my upbringing and my own personal experience at home with my elderly parents enjoying fruit bat as a delicacy.
Yeah.
So that's been added to the book.
You know what? Did you do the research on who it was that first discovered it was okay to eat a fruit bat? Or because I presume that was a mistake, that somebody left the kitchen open, they were making some kind of stew, and a fruit bat flew into it. And they didn't know it was in there cooking up until after they started serving up fruit bat parts.
I don't know. I really feel that it was, one of those things that was related by, other Pacific Islanders who've already experienced it. It could have been folks from Samoa, it could have been folks from the southern Micronesian islands. Your guess is as good as mine. The other thing that we included in there, and I still can't figure out exactly where the origins came from, but my dad taught us how to make salmon croquet, and he said his mom, who was born in 1898, taught him how to make salmon croquet. We've asked lots of folks on Facebook, and their grandparents remember their grandparents making it, and so it's in the book, but we identify that we really don't understand where it originated.
Mm-hmm.
We think maybe it there's a nexus with Japan, but potentially.
Yeah, well, yeah, considering the salmon is not, you can't go to the streams and the rivers in the central parts of the island and catch salmon there. So how did something like salmon croquet make its way out to Guam? I'm wondering if how much of that had to do with people that came to Guam on those original ships after the Navy came in and said that told the Spaniards there was a war and you lost, we're taking over, and all these guys on the ships brought with them their recipes from home.
Could have been. And, those are some interesting stories that we're trying to feature in the book to tell our story, which is a legacy that we're trying to preserve. And we're very excited where we are today. This has been over 2 years since we've been doing this. And we're just about 3 months left before we get this book to our printer. And we're also submitting this book for an international cookbook award.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to take place. I believe the deadline is November 15th, and there's going to be a summer announcement of winners for different categories.
Nice.
So we're
Nice.
submitting this in for category for the Pacific Islands.
All right, 9:27, and so trying to keep up with the times here, and I noticed as I was on Facebook yesterday, the people over at Payless, who just opened a new place by my house, I'm very happy about that. The people over at Payless were putting together a recipe. It's a little video recipe of sushi bake. And so I'm wondering, because I'm starting to see that more and more on fiesta tables around here. More and more people are making sushi bake because it's easy. It's rice and furikake and imitation crab and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, are you as current as that, with the new additions on the fiesta tables?
I want to tell you that what we've done, my wife and I, is we've identified about 3%. So we've got about 115 recipes. 3% of them are new recipes that we came up with that work really, really well, not only with Chamorro food, but also we tried to tailor it so that it kind of serves the millennial taste and desires. So yeah. I want to say that that's the extent that we're doing it, but with respect to the new items that are making their way onto the fiesta tables, we're saving that for our second edition that we're planning to push out once we push out the first edition. I got you.
All right. Well, I've posted the link up on the site. Neats is writing in, and she said in a separate comment to both of us, listen to you on Ray Gibson Show that today is the last day. I was hoping for this Thursday or Friday. But, does Kickstarter give you an extension on stuff like that?
No, it does not, Ray. Tomorrow will be the 60th day. So it officially will close 9 a.m. Denver time tomorrow, which is my time. So there's only a few hours left. So if anybody really wants to support us and wants to get a pre-ordered book to be delivered in their hands, through the mail.
Yeah, I just wanted the cheaper price. That's what I'm looking for. But I don't know.
So if you buy it on Kickstarter, you'll save about $9 off the sticker price.
Gotcha. All right, well, everybody get moving on that. Gerard, thanks very much for the time. Big kiss to the wife, and I'll see you when you come home.
Thanks, Ray. We appreciate it.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. 888-8255 is the telephone number around here. Nice that we get that conversation here. It's not anti-U.S., not anti-Chamorro. It's everything. It's pro everybody. I've been never against anything, for everything. And when you got a guy like Gerard and his family, and they live off island, but they still feel that tug. That man, I gotta find a way to honor and respect the culture, and even as far away as it is in Denver, Colorado, where marijuana is legal. Can you imagine the distraction? I mean, I'm just saying, guys. If you were in Denver, if you'd have had an idea with marijuana being as legal and as accessible there, you probably A, would have forgotten it, and B, would have never gotten around to doing it just because there's so much smoke to be had. At least that's the way it works in my head. 9:30 in the morning, and let's call that iConnect time. If you're looking for a job, they may have a position open for you at iConnect. They're looking for self-motivated, energetic, outgoing communicators. Tom! I gotta make that noise. That's Janae is saying that's the name that's going to be in her head. She's going to call everybody Tom. Tomas.
You got to say it with a really high-pitched voice.
How did he get that high? There's a certain way you got to sit. Anyway, I was talking about a job over at iConnect, looking for the right people to be part of the corporate sales team. So if you've got experience in sales, can you communicate and can you work as part of a team? They want you to apply. Grab an application at iConnect's main office at the Micronesia Mall, or if you just want to start off with a resume, send it to hr@iconnectguam.com or drop it off at the main branch or at the Micronesia Mall. iConnect is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, do you know what time the bank closes? I need to deposit my check.
You know you can do that from your phone.
I can?
With Bank of Guam's mobile app, it's easy. Just endorse the back and snap a pic to deposit it into your account. You can do this from anywhere, anytime, which means no rushing to catch the bank and no lines.
With Bank of Guam's mobile app and online banking, we're always open. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
Hulu is all your TV in one place, plus more. Watch thousands of hit shows, movies, and award-winning Hulu originals for only $5.99 per month. It's TV without the cable contract and the freedom of on-demand streaming. Get current network shows from ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, and binge-watch every season of your favorite cable shows. Premium Hulu viewing is brought to you by Proline Automotive and AB Sports, Guam's store for Nike. To advertise on Hulu, call Choice Digital at 989-0042.
I'm tired of talking about that appeal. Are you rung out on that already? One more guy wants to chime in on it. Huffa Joe.
Yeah, I have to agree with your uncle Rob Underwood. It's a promise that has not been fulfilled, and it's a process. The promise, be it to the group, in my understanding, and the time of the Organic Act 1950, who were the majority of the time, and they also called themselves Chamorro of Guam, Chamorros of Guam. They are no longer the clear majority now, and even some of them have offspring who might not be considered 100% Chamorro, so they want to protect them. So there's going to be split offs, but it's a faction that wants to be heard, that wants what they feel is a promise to them to be fulfilled.
So I already said how to do it. Let's say put it in the plebiscite, and you walk in, and the guy with the ballot says, "Are you Chamorro?" And if you answer yes, here's an extra ballot. Fill this in. This is all the options for the different statuses that we're looking for, and then to put it into that box over there, and then we're done. And if the federales want to come after us for having what they would consider an unconstitutional election, unconstitutional ballot positioning, then we just go, "Oh, sorry."
I agree with you. As a matter of fact, Ray, I don't know why they didn't let Dave Davis vote.
Exactly. Just
doesn't make sense.
And so we just here's the thing, or you give them an actual ballot and you put, "Are you Chamorro?" Somebody yes or no, and then what kind of status do you want here at the end of all of this? And we'll just have a report that says of all of the ballots that were cast, this many were cast by people who identified as Chamorro, and these were their answers. Done.
I mean, what's the problem with just one guy voting? I mean, were they afraid that people, there's a timeline. Once the vote's over, it's over.
Oh.
Were they afraid that people...
Yeah, I'm sorry, Joe Cruz with a very important point. If you answer yes when they ask you if you're Chamorro, then you automatically fail, no ballot for you. You have to say again.
Trick question, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Ray...
I'm Chamorro.
Hey, I'm not sure what Tom's grievance is. I'm not sure if is he considered Chamorro of Guam, or is he considered something else? I don't know, but he seems to have a grievance. The other guy's grievance were like, I don't want my kids and grandkids to be mistreated because they're not as Chamorro as I am. I'm not sure what Tom's is. Just ideology.
Well, I don't know. Some people have deep-seated beliefs one way or the other. It's possible that these kinds of things, you get guys that join the service, and uphold the Constitution, whether they are wearing a uniform or not, and he might have constitutional issues. He's got fairness issues where we're all always clamoring. His point was we're always clamoring to be treated the same way as the states do. We want the same kind of Medicaid that they've got. We want the same kind of food stamps, same kind of education, same kind of this, that, and the other that they have in the states. But because we want it to be equal. But when it comes to something like, hold on, when it comes to something like this, then we only want it to be the us. Know what I mean?
Well, Guam has a small town feel to it. And was it in Alpha Malik? So I mean, it's not like we're gonna mistreat people once we get a chance. People don't think that way here. Not right now. So anyway,
I know. I don't. Thinking about the statement that Mike St. Nicholas made on Facebook. Funny you used the phrase "enough Malik" because he uses the reference to it as well. 9:37. I got to run. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Have a good day. 888-8255-888 TALK. Yeah. Romy, I'm going to read this. Hey, was heading up to Home Depot, listening to your show. You kind of gave me a bit of motivation to do some blogging today about the Mike St. Nicholas thing. Since you brought it up, you and Troy actually saying it's dead. It's not. Last week they did interviews at GEC, had more scheduled for Monday this week, but okay, got it. So maybe we'll see something else. Appreciate that because there was a conversation. It was a big conversation. Everybody all caught up in the gossipy parts of the conversation because what's his name made these allegations about Mike St. Nicholas, took the complaint to the Guam Election Commission, and then voila. Nothing. I didn't hear anything about it, but apparently there might be some movement. If you want details on it, keep your eye at Guam Blog and on what Romy is writing about. There could be something on his blog in the next couple of days. We'll see what happens. 9:37 in the morning, and then there's the other stories that I haven't had a chance to talk about here today. One of them being the 62 days till Christmas. This is actually an item in my table of contents today. I'm only bringing it up so that we can do that again. But no, it's not true. I'm only bringing it up because this is one of my favorite and blessed parts of the year, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And for those of you that are curious, I wear a size medium shirt, currently a 32 waistline, and I like it tight, guys. I like it tight. So Zara, Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, whatever. If you've got some additional money, that's just thinking about your favorite radio guy. That'd be fine. Otherwise, start thinking about people in your family and just getting through that process. We are so tantalizingly close. I can close my eyes and be a little kid again, thinking, okay, it's the progression. You get to a certain age, and all of a sudden it becomes meaningful. There's Halloween. And there's Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas, and then there's New Year's, and I think Christmas is my favorite day of all. So I'm looking forward to a delightful Christmas season here, and I suppose the reminder to you that you got to start thinking about the shopping and the gift buying and wrapping presents, and try to think about somebody maybe that's having a hard time with things. I know that there's a bunch of different charities and outfits around here that will be clamoring for your attention, but work on that. And another one that is kind of small time. And definitely fits in the small talk portion of the program. Did you know that we were in a meteor shower last night? I had no idea. I was in bed by about 9:30. Watching something on television. I made a bucket of popcorn and stuck something
picture.
on. I was thinking about it.
Yeah,
I was thinking about showing. So you've got a picture, and who else has got a picture that I was sent here today? James Howard actually sent a video.
Yeah, and I really, he suspects it's a UFO, but I think it is the ISS.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this is going to be able to you're going to be able to make out.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. But there is a little bit of a dot right above the apartment complex there, and that's the ISS. What happened is, knowing that there was a meteor shower, my car's warming up, and I'm sitting out there in front of the apartments, and I roll my windows down, and I'm just kind of looking up, seeing if I could see some meteors, and I'm looking at the moon, and there's this bright dot just moving northeast across the sky. And it was a very steady dot, and there were no blinking lights. And so that immediately told me that's probably the ISS. I have an app on my phone that will track the ISS and tell me when it's over and where it's at.
Weirdo.
I turned the notifications off so it wouldn't keep telling me every time. But then when I looked at it, and boom, it was right over us. And I said, well, there it is. And so I tried to actually get it on video. It wouldn't work, in a moment of panic, oh my God. But I managed to get the picture.
Yeah, and now there's video. If you go to James Howard's page on Facebook, you'll be able to see an actual video, and you can see basically what Mike is talking about, and it is something that is kind of goofing off on the screen. But notice it is going in a totally linear direction. It's not juking and or anything like if it was a UFO, it would do these tantalizing moves and something
likely,
that so you'd go, oh yeah, it's not just a satellite, it's not just the International Space Station, love that's out there. But as a ham radio guy, one of the reasons why we like to have an ISS app, or at least know where the ISS is because depending on whether the guys are busy or not aboard the space station, they'll talk to you.
I see.
So
Nice.
you go up on one frequency and then back down on another. Okay. And it's not like you need a high-powered amplifier to get this done. You can do this with a handheld.
Yeah, I was going to say, and just
just
line
a
of sight.
handheld transmitter, because it's line of sight. It's right up there. It's a straight line between here and there, and it's not all that many millions of miles away. And so, and it doesn't take any time. So you get guys, and if you look it up, if you are so motivated, I mean, if you're enough of a geek to look this up, there are pictures that you can see of guys with an antenna that beams off in one direction at one frequency, and another antenna that would receive at the other, and you kind of hold it with your hand, because the thing ain't on the horizon for an awful long time.
No, it's not. Yeah.
So you got to get the communications done as quickly as you can, and then, like I said, you've got to do this. You're transmitting on one frequency but listening at another. So there's a little bit of a mind thing that's going on there as well.
The one thing that did surprise me about it this morning, by the way, my first time actually ever seeing the ISS, how quickly it was moving. I mean, the moon was about at center point in the sky, and I caught it right by the moon, and I had to scramble. I mean, I only had about 15 seconds to catch that picture right there before the thing slipped down behind the apartments and went away.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's 17,150 miles an hour is how fast it's going. 17,150 miles an hour. It traversed the planet in almost no time whatsoever. Is the point. 17,000 miles an hour, or the speed with which I think. It's 9:43 in the morning. A few other items in the table of contents that I think might be interesting, although the only thing I could come up with about the 3 new Coast Guard cutters coming in was, I want to ride.
Yeah, right. I mean, they catch submarines.
I'm a media guy. Could I just, find, what do we call the guy that's in charge of the Coast Guard here? Admiral? He's not an admiral, right?
I would think he is, yeah.
I mean, we got an admiral for the Navy, and we got generals up at the Air Force. I don't know if there's an admiral. I think maybe a captain rank.
I think it would be maritime-based rank, and he would have to have a high one to be in charge.
I get to be 57 years old and not know this. But anyway, I'm going to see if I know a couple of people that are coasties. I might bother them to see if there's a way we can get on the cutter and see what kind of trouble we can get into. Maybe go fishing. You know what I'd like to do? I mean, honest to God, like to do? They've got big guns on these cutters.
They do. You like to shoot it, huh?
I'd like to shoot that gun. I would.
You don't get to hold it.
No. It's a big 50 caliber, isn't it? Don't they got those little cannons on the boat?
I want to say they have some even bigger than that on a Coast Guard cutter.
Yeah. So I mean that would be crazy fun. Just go out, take me out a couple of miles, and I won't tell anybody if you won't tell anybody, and I'll pay for the rounds. I'll give you my credit card. I'll pay for the rounds. I just like to go and ride that thing. Also like to find out what the creature comforts are, because these are we call them cutters, and it almost sounds like they're small, but my guess is that they're fairly large ocean goers, and kind of like to see what the quarters are like on that. What would it be like riding around on one of those things? No doubt there are people listening right now that have been in the Coast Guard, have been on those cutters, saying you ain't missing anything. Nate Orange says Commandant. Chris Chip says Commandant of the region, and Dennis Bensour says 32-inch waist. I need to cook more for you. Hey, Carl, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Ray.
So before I forget, there is one other item on the table of contents that I think is interesting. So interesting, I clipped it out. There's a newspaper ad that was taken out by the iLearn Academy Charter School. They're having a notice of a business meeting that is going to be taking place tomorrow at the iLearn place in Ukadu, and that will start at 10 o'clock in the morning. And no doubt, the number one item on their agenda is how they can get the same treatment out of the government of Guam and the DOE as the Guam Academy Charter School, the Guahan Academy Charter School. And the answer is you have to be Judy One Pat.
Yeah, I have a niece with a daughter that goes there, and she's very happy with iLearn.
Well, I've heard. Most of the people that I've talked to, that I know a couple of people that have got kids. I know the administrators of the school, and near as I can tell, everybody seems to be enjoying the experience. But they like John Fernandez looking over at GACS and going, how is it possible that GACS is getting so many of these courtesies out of the government of Guam? And I'm telling you, the answer is because Lou and Judy served together in the legislature. They're batchmates at the legislature, and Lou's still doing favors for Judy.
Yeah, I really believe charter schools are a big answer for the problems that the public schools face.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video by Reason TV, which is a libertarian outfit, and about some very successful charter schools. Not all charter schools work, but when they do, they're a way out of a cycle of poverty. And I remember one scene in this video where there was hundreds and hundreds of families from the inner cities. These were mostly black families, and they were in a lottery to try to get into this popular charter school.
Sure.
And I remember in this video, this little kid crying, just tears streaming down his face because he didn't get into, he didn't win a place in this lottery. That's how desperate they are.
I get it. I get it. The point, I think, of that is that people want choice. And we'd like a choice that doesn't require any additional dollars. You've got some people that say, your options here are send your kid to a public school or send your kid to a private school. You can send your kid to public school. All you got to do is buy uniforms. You send them to private school. You got to buy uniforms, pay tuition. You got to pay for the cafeteria. You got to pay for the yearbook. It's money out the hand over fist. And they want an option, which I think is why many parents pursue the concept of homeschooling. And that opens a whole other level of intensity, I think, for parents to make sure that they're in conformity with the law. And then the other is you get these charter schools where you say, you know what, I would like to be able to give my kids some kind of a choice. Personally, I'd like to reinvestigate the concept, if for no other reason, to really see what kind of stripes we have on our politicians. The concept of vouchers. I'd like to see vouchers. I think if the idea is the law says that the government of Guam has to educate all of the children of Guam, then you know what? Why don't you give me a charter? The $6,000 that you don't have to spend educating my kid in public school, you give me a voucher, and I will spend that money on the private schools.
Yeah, if anyone really wants to see a very successful charter school, all they need to do is go to YouTube and type in Boys Latin Charter School. And that is a wonderful charter school. It's also in an inner city. It's all boy, and it's all, it's a mostly black school.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they have high standards. They wear ties, they wear suits. You'll get stopped walking down the hallway if your shirt isn't tucked in. They have high standards, and these kids are doing very, very, very well. To me, that's the answer for the serious problems we have in our public school system. 4 of my kids went to Benevente Middle School. I had a friend who taught all there last year, and he's told me just the serious problems. I'm not picking on Benevente.
Mm.
I'm just saying that certain public schools have many more problems than others, and charter schools really are the answer for me. Anyway.
Yep. Well, I'd like the kind of school that I'd like to put together. I'd like to call it the Arpaio Memorial School, even though he's not dead, because I'd like to have something that has the feel of not a penal colony as much as it is. We're going to go in here and give these kids opportunities to learn what it is to be a man, and maybe a little bit of an education, obviously. And maybe some skills and some trades.
Yeah, and this.
And I wanted to do it in Chamorro.
Well, that's a charter school. You have that leeway to do that, and there's a movie I'm sure you've probably seen from many years ago called Lean on Me, the story of Joe Clark, who was a new principal at an inner city school, and he came into the school and it was just graffiti ridden and gangs and drugs and just cursing in the hallways. It was just like a jungle.
Yeah.
And these poor kids that were there to learn and to get out of the cycle of poverty were just being held hostage. And he turned it around. He set high standards. He put in place strong discipline, and it became a real school. And I think, some, maybe most of our public schools have lost that discipline and high standards. And our kids are paying the price, and they're going to pay the price after they graduate.
I hear that. Well, I think the other part of it is, can you imagine how great it would be going to school with Morgan Freeman as your principal? Dude, I got to run. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Ray. It's nice talking to you.
Always nice talking to you, too, as well. 888-8255 if you would like to experience the niceness of talking to me. Otherwise, I'll be right back.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the all-new Pit Smoked Brisket. How would you like it?
I'll take a man who knows what's what.
Y'all know what? The all-new Pit Smoked Brisket at Subway is smoked slower than a slug going up a down escalator, that's what. I'm talking tender, juicy brisket, naturally pit smoked for at least 13 hours. What's more, it's got layer after layer of smoky flavor. Smoked cheddar and barbecue sauce on delicious Italian bread. Subway, make it what y'all want, what not. Limited time only at participating restaurants.
If you've ever struggled for breath, you know what a scary experience it is. Whether you have asthma, emphysema, COPD, lung cancer, or another respiratory illness, the right medical treatment makes all the difference. GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic has the latest technology and respiratory equipment, staffed by world-class pulmonologists. Make an appointment today with GRMC's Pulmonology Clinic and start breathing easier. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Come on now. Somebody asking online about the theme for today's program. Today's theme is Speak in Cursive Day. And people going, what do you mean by that? What does that mean, speak in cursive? You know what? If for no other reason, it's a line that I got from a friend of mine, and her way kind of apologizing for when she's had a little bit too much to drink, where all of the words that come out of her mouth make sense. I mean, as words go. I mean, she's not slurring, but they don't seem to go together the right way. They just kind of in and out and flow from one thought to the other, and it makes perfect sense when you're drunk. And when the both of you are drunk, it makes perfect sense. But otherwise, you're going, okay, well, it's like there's somebody there. It just doesn't sound like they're, actually pushing all the buttons in the correct order and the correct syntax. So that's kind of what speaking in cursive is. Now, you can also suggest that speaking in cursive is when other than speech ups in your mix, just different ways of pronouncing words when you're drunk. That's another way to do that. So I don't know why it was. It was the thought that was in my head when it was time to title today's program. Otherwise, we could have gone with something like Wings Wednesday. And I'm of the opinion that maybe today could be something like a Wings Wednesday. It has been a while since I've gone someplace and just had a plate piled high with a variety of different kinds of chicken wings.
Got a great ball game coming on in about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
dude. That'd be
wings.
Great with some
wings.
beer.
Buffalo wings and a cold beer while you're watching the first game of the World Series. And as you point out, it's going to be on a television in just a little bit, and that's nice because it'll give us something to talk about when it gets to be sports time tomorrow. It's somebody's writing at right now. Almost time, Mike. World Series and go Nationals. Who's that? Keenan McCausland.
That's cool. Yeah,
acknowledging your
nobody loves
behavior.
my Astros, and I could care less. We were champions 2 years ago, and we're likely to be champions again this year. So y'all go on with your hate.
Go home with your hate. And speaking of, I hate to categorize it that way and be able to launch from that word, but go on with your hate here. And we couldn't get him. He was on a conference call with some other big shots. But Juan Carlos Benitez, who asked me yesterday to ask Carl Gutierrez, who was on the program, hey, would the Democrats come out and actually in writing support Mike Sinikolas and the timely passage of Bill H.R. 1365. And Carl Gutierrez was he didn't sound convinced like that it needed to be done. So he kind of hemmed and hawed on the answer to that, going, well, gee, gosh, everybody knows that we're behind it. Otherwise we wouldn't have asked for it. It's not like a wish list thing. We just got to close a gap that was left open by former Congressman Madeline Ziberdallo. But the Republican Party, in an effort, I think, to stoke a fire that's already been lit. Frankly, it's already raging, and it is the fire of hate and mistrust from the Democrat Party of Guam against Mike Sinicolas. They just, whatever Mike does, they're his own party. The Democrats are going to go in the opposite direction. And so GOP guys, recognizing that this is actually more fun to watch than anything else, says, do we have any more gasoline? What do we got? We got kerosene. What else do we have here that burns? Throw it on the pile. And so they've now, the GOP is asking for a pause on the local war claims bill in support, real or feigned, it doesn't make any difference. Support for Michael Sinicolas and his bill H.R. 1365. Just because it amplifies, it magnifies the degree of distance between the deep state Democrats here and the not-so-deep state, didn't sign the unity pledge, Mike Sinicolas in Washington, D.C. Whatever we can do to amplify that, it just makes it that much better. And so there we go with that. There we go with that. So they're working through that particular day. And I wanted to get Juan on the phone about it today, but he, like I said, he was busy doing something else. And then you read the rest of the article, which is great. You go to page 4 of the Guam Daily Post. Then we bring in, not only are we stoking the fire here, let's bring in the name of Margaret Metcalf. Pudding. Her name, and it's fun when we get this in here. Countering that, Margaret Metcalf, the Republican Party of Guam National Committee woman and former Calvo administration Washington liaison, stated, "It was made clear to me in no uncertain terms that to seek a partial payout of reparations from a local source prior to the Senate acting on 1365 would only diminish our chances at getting it passed in the Senate." Now, the only problem that I have with that statement there is it seems to run counter to something else some of the Republicans have said, that Mike Sinicolas was a liar, and said that that he had talked to people in the Senate that said that would be a problem. And Tello Taitagui and a bunch of other people said, no, that never came up in our conversation. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here other than to watch the continued breakdown between Mike Sinicolas and other members of his own party. And what's it an attempt to do? Some would say it's an attempt to destabilize Mike Sinicolas and maybe get somebody else a little bit more pulling on the cord here. What is it? Pulling on the Democrat Party rope in Washington, D.C. Move along some of those deals. But I don't know. I like Mike. I like what he's up to there, and I think that I am not alone in that. I read some of the comments in support of Mike, and they run about 9 to 1. There's 10 comments, 9 will be in support of Mike, and 1 will be Ken St. Augustine. That's the way I read that. Anyway, what is it time? Get out of here, really? 10 o'clock in the morning already. Mike, we did it. We managed to kill another 4 hours of talk radio. I'll bet we can do it tomorrow as well. You know why? Because both the governor and lieutenant governor are here, and that means that there's going to be stuff to talk about. The radio station is KUSG, Agania headquarters for Fox News Live. This is The Point.
He was alarmed. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine before lawmakers conducting the impeachment inquiry of President Trump, claiming the president leveraged aid for Ukraine for their cooperation in an investigation into election interference and a